This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's Friday. It's open comms. I hope my voice is all right. I'm coming down with a cold, but we're here. I'm here. I'm Drayden. We got Rain here. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, other than the cold thing, but Brisk, how's it going, man?
How's it hanging, guys? Welcome to 2019.
Yeah, we made it. And then LB is joining us.
How you doing?
And we got Ironwolf.
What's up, dudes?
And then Hyper Viper will be here a little bit later. He is in some kind of business meeting, probably Black Hand and stuff. But yeah, new year. 2019, brand new year. We could kick it off with a shot for the new year.
Somehow all didn't die New Year's Eve. Congrats to you.
That's something.
Rain, you should tell us all the story of your wonderful adventures on New Year's Eve.
So
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's something that Dirk was always like, we shouldn't open up with shots, but now I'm in charge, so we're gonna open up with shots now.
Oh, Drayden's in charge. Yeah. We're gonna be drunk by the first
Master
15,
Secco, thanks for the sub, man. Twitch
All right, for the record, the reason I don't have a tie on is because the government shut down, thus I don't have to wear a tie.
Oh, you're off work?
Well, I'm not off work, but the government shut down, so I don't have to wear a tie. That's my new rule. I've set it up. I make the rules.
You make the rules. When there's no one in charge, Brisk makes the rules.
Exactly. There's nobody in charge. This is exactly what I was wearing when I was working today, so I'm okay.
Nice. At least you got the American flag pin on, so you're set.
Always have it on. I'm pretty sure it's on my.
I don't know if I've ever noticed it.
Pretty sure.
Every suit I have, every outer coat I have. There we go.
Curtis, bro, we'll get to that, but so New Year's Eve, we did run a thing. I already deleted it. Dirk maybe delete it, but also I kind of wanted to because it was like 6 hours of straight drinking, and I only remember like half of it, and so.
Did it get out of hand?
It very well could have. I don't know. That's the thing.
I think everyone was
pretty
good.
Well, until we were waiting for Drayden's New Year, and then it went downhill because it was like the last one.
Well, yeah, except for Alaska and Hawaii. I'm not gonna make the mistake this year and say no one cares about those, because last time I said that there was actually a guy in the chat. He's like, "I'm from Hawaii, you fuck." But
that's what you get, Idaho.
Yeah, but so we did make it to at least Pacific Standard Time, but I deleted it because I don't want to have to go through 6 hours of video and make sure that all of it's legit, especially when I went to bed, woke up in the morning, wasn't sure if I shut the stream off or not, and anytime I'm not sure if I shut the stream off and I wake up in my bed naked, I'm always like, delete the video now, and then find out what happens. But yeah, so it was a fun thing. But Rain, go ahead with your thing though.
So I had left like 10:30 from here. I meet my friend at it was the gay bar. It's called Basics in Cedar Rapids. And so they're doing a drag show, and she knows a lot of the drag queens. So like we're hanging out, like taking video, giving them money, and then we're drinking. So we just have like one mixed drink each, and I'm already just like super drunk because I've been doing shots with everyone here. And so I was like, "Oh, let's do shots." And she's like, "Shots of what?" And I was like, "Tito's." And she's like, "I hate vodka." I'm like, "Whatever, you're doing shots." The bartender, no joke, gave us like triple shots, and I bought him a drink too.
You hate vodka, by the way. What's wrong with your friend?
I don't know. But so we do shots, which ended up being like 3 shots along with the bartender. Drag show ends. She buys us shots of Jaeger as well as another rum and coke for her, and then she buys me just straight Malibu because she was like, "Can you drink Malibu?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that's all she bought me.
Dress with pockets off.
Apparently, I don't know. But the moment the drag show ended, we were dancing and just like having an absolute blast. It was kind of lame. Like the 3, 2, 1 countdown was pretty lame, which I mean, I wasn't really there for that. I was there to dance. I was having so much fun. Like I kept pulling people in to dance with me, and then like other people dancing. We did like the wobble or whatever the hell that shit is. I made the comment. Yeah, I made the comment. I'm like, everyone here is super white, and she goes, I'm Asian, and I go, I don't care. You still can't dance. And so it was like kind of that, and then like we left at 1, managed to get an Uber home. Almost threw up like 3 times. And then we get to my place and just like completely crash. And I wake up at like 5 a.m. and I'm like, oh my God, where's my phone? And I left my phone in the Uber. So the whole next day was like Rain's adventure to try and get her phone back, which ended up being fun anyway, because I hung out with her all day. Like we got food, I hung out. She has a dog, and like I love animals, and it's really hard for me living in an apartment with that only allows cats, and I travel too much for that. But it was pretty much Rain's adventure to find her phone, and I got it. And I thought I lost my wallet too. My wallet was at home, just lost.
You
So I
got
was
that
like,
snake
I-
on the wall, right?
Like
So that's your pet.
you had the
I
dress
like
with
up there.
pockets, which like,
And
you're
I-
like, oh man, you got pockets. I can organize stuff. I won't lose anything, and then you lose everything.
And then I lose my
Everything.
phone. Which, to be fair, I don't know if it was because the way I was sitting or if because I was super fucking drunk and like I just kind of like set it on the seat and then like was an idiot and forgot. But it was so much fun. I like am still sore from dancing, and I feel bad for not coming back and hanging out with you guys because we left out once so I could come hang with you guys and I just passed
Yeah,
out.
I'll be back. Yeah, no, we all knew you weren't coming back.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like you
considering-
guys had a
we
wild
had so many
adventure.
people on that damn stream. It was,
Yeah, it's
it was
true.
okay. I mean, we were all tripping over ourselves.
Yeah, what did you guys end up doing? Did you guys end up like playing
We
more music and stuff?
I think we got into karaoke when you weren't there, which is the most surprising thing. Because usually you're the instigator of all the karaoke, so it was probably horrible.
Well, Kate was on a lot too.
Yeah, Kate came on. I think McGirt Jr. came on a little bit. LB was there. Hyper Viper was there.
Liz was there.
Liz was there. We had a bunch of people on,
Oh, that's awesome.
but no, it was good.
Pretty cool.
Oh, also, Dirk sent me a pic. Oh shit, it's behind all the chat now.
Is this his
There.
neck pick?
That's Dirk and Kate are out drinking, so they say cheers.
Yeah.
Dirk
Oh,
gets his
also-
Friday nights. He's so excited.
Yeah. The other thing he sent me earlier that he wanted to. So after the results of Dirk's surgery, he had 2 of his vertebrae. They had to like fill in and like reform his vertebrae. So like the 2 spots on his neck there. Oh, that's fucked up. But
That looks intense.
yeah, that's why he looked like he had his throat cut.
They
on
did
the New
all
Year's
of
show.
that just through that little slit too.
Well, it was a
'Cause
pretty
that's
big
kind of-
one. It
that's
was
kind
it was
of
about a
impressive.
3 or 4 inch cut onto his neck. So yeah,
That's impressive though.
Yeah, but what happened to basically what happened to him is he like something like with his spinal cord or I don't know the exact details, but I think his spinal cord, like his vertebrae weren't shaped right, and so they were like pinching on his spinal cord or something like that, which was causing a bunch of pain in his shoulder and back and neck and stuff because it was hitting certain nerve lines, but pretty rough. He's got
He's
a
recovering.
bionic
Actually, his
neck
brain
now.
is so big that it was weighing his head down so much that they had to put like a steel like spine in there for him. So
He's,
Yeah,
that's what he
he's
told me.
yeah, he's doing pretty well though from like recovering and whatnot.
And he's getting all kinds of nice drugs, so he should be happy with that too.
Yeah.
And he can drink.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, I'm assuming he does alternating thing. Although, I don't know if he's I mean, he's not fully recovered, but I don't know if he's like taking like super. He's not on like oxys or anything anymore. So, I think he's just on some like decent painkillers, but not the heavy shit. As far as I
He
know.
is the $6 million Dirk.
Yeah.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
But yeah, so New
That's
Year's
a
went
dated
well.
reference for all of you young people.
No one. Well, Rain had a puking rally. I don't know if anyone else did, but it seemed to go.
I had an
Everybody else
awesome New
seemed
Year.
fine. I don't think anybody was too crazy
I think
until the end
so.
of the night.
I
I
think
have
it's
I have videos saved on my hard drive. I'm afraid to go look at it, but
I feel like the next day everyone was like adequately hungover, but everyone was hungover because they had so much fun, not because they were just miserable. So it sounded like all my friends were like, "Oh my god, I had an awesome time. How are you feeling?" I'm like, "Well, I'm really hungover. How are you?" Like I feel that's how I felt all of our chatter has been.
yeah,
That's good chatter. That's the kind of chatter you want to have. as opposed to all those poor schmucks that were standing out in New York and getting rained on and stuff. I don't
Is
understand.
that what
You know,
happened? Oh,
my wife has been in New York for New Year's Eve, but she's never actually done Times Square. I do not understand the people that go out there in the rain, freeze their ass off, wearing freaking diapers to do what? To stand around for 12 hours? I mean, that's like hell. I don't get it. I would never do that. I just don't understand why people think that that's fun.
I don't. And people pay so much money to have like one of the rooms off the square, like so you
Which
can
is
look
so
on.
stupid.
I
Because all
know.
the hotels around the square suck, by the way, and I stay there all the time. They all suck. You know, it's not like you're going to stay somewhere good like the Waldorf Astoria. You're going to stay in like the Sheraton, and it sucks. And I stay there like every 2 months. But it's New York. You know, I guess some people seem to think that New York is fun. I don't know. I'm not a fan. I go there too much, and my wife's family's from there, and every time I go there, I count the minutes so I can leave.
it's good
Yeah.
if you're from the Midwest and you really want oysters. That's why I like New York City. Oyster bars everywhere.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't
eating
know.
snot. Edible
Yeah.
snot.
What?
You guys are terrible.
Oysters are nasty. Like, I like a lot
I
of
What are you?
seafood.
love
Oh, come
oysters.
on.
It's like pretty much.
Trading. That's because
There's-
you live in the
there's-
middle of fucking nowhere.
No,
There's
I
oceans
like
near
seafood.
you.
I like most seafood. The seafood, aside from like the super weird shit like squid ink pasta and stuff, like that's disgusting.
Squid is
Squid's
great.
good
What's wrong with
too.
that?
Well, like
I'm
I
from
can
the
eat like
fucking
deep fried
Midwest.
calamari, but I'm talking like like they make in Japan and shit. They make like squid ink pasta,
Squid
like
is
squid
good.
ink. Squid ink.
Squid, I've never had squid ink pasta, but I
That
would eat
sounds
it.
disgusting. And or
Why?
like sea urchins. Like the only edible part of that
I'd
is
eat
the
that.
gonads, and you have to eat them raw. So you're eating raw sea urchin balls.
I would eat that.
I
That
would
be
not.
good.
But aside from that weird stuff, like I don't like sushi and I don't like mollusks. Aside from maybe some scallops. Scallops are okay, but other than that, I like seafood. But oysters and clams, mussels, it's fucking
I like
nasty.
shrimp, man. That's about it.
That's weird.
But
I will get oysters anytime they have them on the menu. It's kind of dangerous.
They're
yeah.
good.
Okay, but so everyone is everyone's clamoring for the verdict, but
Yeah, I want to know what's going on because all I see is Reddit and all of this fun stuff.
I don't know what
So you guys
talking
are in
about. Is there
Black
nothing
Legion. Does
happening
it still exist?
in Eve right
Did
now?
everything
well,
die?
it exists. I think they're
Is
actually.
Elo
Exists,
quitting?
yeah.
I
What's
think,
happening?
Well,
Tell
I
us
think
the
they're
truth.
actually out on one of Elo's last fleets right now, aren't they? Right?
I think Rain should tell us. what's
Me?
going
You
on.
get so mad when I talk about BL.
I think you have been the most informative over the show about Black
Okay,
Legion,
what do you
man.
want to know? Because
I just want to know what's
I've
going
seen
on.
the
Like
threads,
Reddit saying
people
it's
have
true,
been-
Reddit saying it's not true. We
no,
just wanna
people have
hear
been linking me the thread. So like, what detail beyond like the Hans post where it was like 6,000 characters? Like, what more
Well,
do
how
I?
about
Is
this?
th-
Tell
what-
us-
well, did
Tell
what
us
Hans
what's going
say? Was
on
he
in
right?
Black Legion in your eyes right now.
Have you heard the term fail skating?
Dun dun.
I mean,
Okay, describe what it feels like right now.
It's not too
Like-
bad.
Well,
'cause-
first of all, there's a reason I'm not on the fleet right now. So what ended up
you're
happening
mad?
was
She's upset.
what ended up
Obviously, I want to hear. I want to hear
happening
Rain
was-
go
so-
crazy.
So
Go
you
crazy.
had like Dirt and Glitter and Did He Say Jump Leave, which a lot of people were like, oh, they're low set groups, like nothing new. But then you had Insu or Insurrection, which were like a pretty notorious group within Black Legion. Like they had a ton of members. Like I remember, so Flying Logistics and being a Logipilot, like I knew a lot of their members and a lot of their FCs, you know, kept trying to step up and this and that. And they were just like, you know what? Elo's been gone for 3 weeks. No, none of us have really heard from him in the past 3 weeks either. I think like only a couple pings now has he started talking. And so they were like, you know what? We're gonna take some guys. If you want, you can join us, but we're headed out. A couple of the other corps, like honestly, I don't even really know their names. Like haven't been active at all. There's Drone V and Abdot. Abdot is its own thing. They're gonna probably join fraternity, but Drone V, which is Ale, who is probably their most prominent FC/CEO or whatever. But they're like, yeah, we're kind of done here. And Ale and Malay. But they were like the only other people to really step up. And so it sounds like they're going to be leaving shortly too. For those who don't know, it takes a while for like corps to actually leave. You can't. It's not just like instantly leave and join type thing. You have to wait
It's
for
a
all the
bleed
rules
off.
and shit. And so
Everybody know you guys all know it was like Christmas and shit, right? 3 weeks is not a long
Well,
time for anybody to be gone over the
yeah.
holidays.
But the problem is that Elo was only supposed to be gone a week. So like he kind of said, "Hey guys, we're moving to Asa," which everyone was really shocked at. I know a lot of the directors, like especially Doom Buddy, was like, "Hey, I don't really know why we're gonna be in Asa, but whatever. Like, there's content down here. I can fly my fleets." Like, so we're like, okay, you know, Elo does this thing. Whatever.
Where the fuck is that? I don't even know where that is. Where is it?
It's like right near Providence, so you could go. It was like the lowest entry to Providence. And so like we were all hanging out with Doom Bunny, and then like it got to the point where people were like, because I mean it was Christmas, so fleets weren't big at all, which not surprising. It's Christmas, especially for a small group. And then like someone pointed out like, "Hey, has anyone heard from Elo?" And I hadn't heard from Elo. No one's heard from Elo. Like people were talking about like there wasn't. I mean like he's not active on Twitter, but like other social media, they're like, "Where's Elo?" Like
is Elo allowed to do anything else other than Eve?
Well,
where is he?
Well, so the thing is we thought he was hanging out with Eve friends. So it wasn't like he just like vanished to go hang out with family out in like the mountainsides of Canada. We thought he was hanging out with Eve friends, and then yeah. Well, you know, like Elo used to tell us stories about like how he lived out in the boonies and had satellite internet or whatever. But people were like, okay, you know, like where's Elo? Because normally he checks in. Like even if it's not him posting like every single day or this or that, like he'll check in with people. Like he'll be like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Like he did that a lot of times. Like I know like with me back when I first started joining Black Legion, like he'd be like, "Oh, I'm away on a work trip," and then he would like ping me or ping someone else and be like, "Oh, hey, how are you? Like how are things?" And so it was like kind of like a personal check-in, but also like I would think it was kind of like his way of kind of gauging how the group is doing. And people could see that even with like FanFest. Like when Elo was off at FanFest, I was with him hanging out in real life. Like there were like 3 of like Black Legion people there. And he was like always like he was on his phone checking in. So it's not like the dude just normally vanishes or whatever. And so after a while, like Doom, but like we kept bugging Doom being like kind of the only FC. Hi Marsha, how are you? No, it's okay. But Doom was like, "Guys, like has anyone heard from Elo?" Like Doom Bunny and him had gone way back. He's like, "Hey, has anyone heard from Elo?" And that's when we kind of realized like Elo was just like not there. And then so like this week rolls around, obviously, quote unquote, into holidays. People are like talking about that with work. And like we just get like a random ass ping from Elo. I think that's been like leaked everywhere, but like kind of saying, "Hey guys, I'm gonna do like a final roam, blah blah blah," which was supposed to be today. Like feeding a Titan or something.
Yeah, I saw his tweet about his Titan and Tazy.
Titan and Tazy.
Yeah, and so like we were all kind of like, wait, what the fuck? Like we didn't know like, because he said goodbye, and we were like, okay, is that like goodbye to the year, goodbye to like, you know, some like Dirt and Glitter, and did he say Jumply? Like people were like super confused. He wasn't really answering. And then like, so a lot of us were PMing him, and then he just like blows up on us and pings, and then like also on TeamSpeak, like he was just like must have been having a really bad day. And so we like Doom started taking over and talking to us and kind of saying like, "Hey guys, like don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Like blah blah blah. This isn't anything new. Like everyone's seen the history of Black Legion and the history of Elo." And so he like that was where like Doom's kind of stepping up now. I haven't gotten like a ping or notification saying Doom has CEO, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was going to be coming or whatever.
Doesn't the guy have it?
No, so Faree's guy, he hasn't been around in a while. But that's my perspective of the story. I was like, I want to say a line member, but like I mean, I do a lot to help out. Like I'll do like Sinos, the Logi FC a lot of the time, especially because Tiana's been really busy. But yeah, I mean, do you guys have questions from that? I don't get it.
Well, what did Svet really steal shit, or was that bullshit? The stuff that was on Reddit.
So I don't have any insight because I don't have ability to see what was stolen. I do know, so I think what did he talk about? It was like the Corp wallets and the Alliance wallet, or not the Alliance wallet, like the Feeder Corp, the Burner Corp. So we do have a Burner Corp, and that should have a shit ton of ISK in it, because I know my alt's in there, and it does tax you pretty high. But then the actual Corp wallet, that's where we get all of our SRP from.
The image that was posted of what he stole, like it didn't look like. I mean, it had a lot of Minakawas in it, but other than that, it was just
looked
a lot
like
of.
Not like
it just looked like faxes, and that was it.
Yeah,
it
but when you read
like a lot of
when you read through the comments, he talked about taking stuff from other wallets.
Yeah. So the thing is, like,
that image wasn't the whole.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like shipwise.
I know for a fact we do have those. Well, I know for a fact we do have those direct caches. So a lot of people like Elo would alarm clock, and he would say, "Hey, if you have faxes, or hey, if you have dreads, or like Nixes even, or whatever." And so like I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I remember him distinctly saying, "Does anyone need a fax alt?" And he had faxes to hand out, and so he would a lot of times when people would build dreads or they build faxes, they would then sell them to Elo, and then Elo would sell them to the corp as a way to make sure that the logistics guys and the industry guys were getting money and they weren't just being held up with like non-liquid assets. But then that way he could also fit them and then hand them out, because we've done tons of ops where Elo just says, hey, get a dreadalt here and X up, and then we just pretty much feed dreads. Like that was what a lot we did in the low set guys.
Theodenko, thanks for the 23 months, man. But also, aside from that, not just the wallet, but there was people mentioning that he grabbed a bunch of like courier contracts that didn't have any collateral set to them because they were corp.
That's like
couriers.
the second time that's happened too.
Yeah, so he just kind of nabbed all
I
of
lost. Yeah, I lost shit to that. So we use a courier corp to move all our shit. And so that's like directors only. Like you have to have a pretty high vouch to get in there. And apparently he grabbed everything from that.
So have you guys lost any stuff from any of the thefts?
I did not, because I don't do courier con. I have a jump freighter alt, so I if I wanted something moved, I just move it myself.
And
what's your jump freighter alt's name, Drade?
He's actually he's alpha status right now because I haven't been using him. But damn it,
I have before, so not this high.
Give me the info.
Well, I have
tell us where you're flying.
I have one that I keep in corp or in an alliance if I need it, and then I have a high sec jump freighter alt to use for that's in just a new corp.
Drain, if you want to move stuff for Black Legion or Origin or whatever we're gonna be, well, you can do that, but make sure you're using the certified route. Some guys haven't, and they got super screwed.
Damn.
But yeah, so that's like I use the courier services a lot, and it's just a corp you contract to. They say like no more than 5 bill per contract, but a lot of people will go above that, especially with like burner cash outs. Like it's not that hard to move a bunch of implants or blueprints or whatever.
Right.
So if Elo does take a break again, what's going to happen? Are you guys going to stick together? Is everybody going to go their separate ways?
Well, I don't think it's going to be like an instant, like, oh, Elo's done, everyone just like explodes and just starbursts out of the. I mean, it'll be like a slow degradation probably, but.
I mean, I've had a lot of fun with Doom Bunny being FC last couple weeks. And so, like, a lot of, like, the other FCs, like I was saying, like, Ale and Malay, like, they're fun, too. So if they stick around, like, I mean, I'll stick around with Doom no matter what. But if they stick around, like, I can see, a couple corps stick around. But it sounds like the Insu guys, as far as I can tell, are gone. I know probably some of the directors who handle logistics are probably going to face a lot of backlash. So I don't know if they're going to want to put in more effort, especially because this is, like, the second heist that we've had with courier contracts.
Yeah, and then also, Chi, thanks for the... Oh, he gifted Marcia, so nice.
I don't know. It just seems like BL has so many veteran players in it. I feel like they can stand on their own without Elo. If he doesn't want to, if he wants to take a break, let him take a break. You know,
yeah.
The guy can. He's not the only FC you guys have. So I feel like, I don't know. I hope you don't. I hope you stick around because I like Black Legion.
I mean, I think the good news for me is that a lot of the low set corps left. And so while I feel like I'm on good terms with both Dirt and Glitter, and then did you say Jump? Like I fly around their space a lot. Like, I mean, I won't be rude to them, but I feel like I can at least PvP them now. Nat says he'll start FC.
You're the low sec person. You love low sec. Every time I fight you, you're low sec.
Yeah, no, I mean, so like for me, it's like I don't know. I like to think I'm a pretty decent Logi FC. I'll stick around with Doom. I have like 5 characters, and then one of the guys who quit is giving me his characters. I have to figure out how to set it up for the character transfer.
Oh, I was like, I thought you just
be careful with
give
that.
you the access. I was like, that's
very dangerous.
Illegal. That's illegal.
Well, it's not illegal. It's against the EULA.
That's illegal. Illegal in each.
Illegal in game law.
Yeah, but I mean, I was gonna use those if need be. But yeah, I have like 5 alts, including a couple Nixes. So. Yeah,
have they changed because the character bazaar, I haven't used it in a long ass time, but I did sell a character on there, and I think it was 2 plex for the transfer fee. Well, so now it'd be 1,000 plex for the transfer fee.
I think it's only 500, but I'm not 100%.
So they made it half as much?
I don't think it's as much as it used to be. I think it's.
I wonder if that's because of the skill injectors the skill injectors kind of made the character bazaar a little less relevant, so maybe they cheapened it to make it I don't know.
I think it was something. I think it's supposed to be something equivalent to like $20. So that's 500 plex. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the past it was 2 plex, so it was a bit more.
All right. So back on the BL thing, because I'm still interested in this. So this Hans post from Hans Wardhandler that's gotten gold and is at the top of Reddit all day today. Is any of that true, or is that all bullshit?
Was that the long post with like 4 parts?
Yeah, the 6,000 million word that Briz could have written essay type stuff. Was
Did
that
you write it?
that?
Is that your ult? No, I was gonna say
right?
that's. I mean, I want to say like the majority of that is accurate. I feel like he didn't credit a lot of people who kind of helped, but I mean, all of the drama that he mentions there with like BL starting out, leadership shifts, getting corpse in, corpse out, like especially like our campaigns, he summarized them pretty concisely. I feel like he did really well there. And I'm usually pretty picky about that stuff, but yeah, I feel like Hans captured it. And then the original.
So I've been telling everybody all day that most of the stuff on Reddit's bullshit, and now I'm hearing that that's not true. That this is actually like legit.
No, that Hans post. I want to say like, besides maybe some of the like background stuff that I don't have insight to, like I want to say that's probably 99% accurate.
Wow.
And then same with like Jason's original post. So Jason Knight or whatever. So he got credit for leaking all this shit. But I think like when he initially posted it, I want to say he kind of like freaked out when we were all kind of talking on comms. But I mean, at the same time, besides it being slightly exaggerated, that's pretty accurate as well.
Why did he freak out?
You know how people kind of like, why like a lot of FCs and alliance leaders don't tell their members the full truth because people freak out?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Like,
that's a good point.
Like, that's kind of why, right? Like, so, like, Elo kind of like having a bad day yesterday or whatever you want to call it, and then Doom Bunny coming in and saying, hey guys, I'm going to help take over majority of leadership for now. Like, none of this is new. Like, Jason freaks out, tells Reddit, like, we obviously have a rogue director leaking shit and stealing shit. When in, like, the reality, like, this is, like, nothing new. Leadership changes quite often for some things, especially, like, with people coming and going, real life taking over and whatnot.
I mean, like, Snake's still operational after Graf left.
Yeah, like Graf
Right.
leaving and Headline taking over. Like, people, like, some people probably freaked out about that. But, like,
yeah, I'm sure.
In the end, it's, like, nothing changed.
You're going to shed
Well, I mean,
members,
it's like with Goons, with Darius Johnson leaving. I mean, a lot of big name guys have been around and then left, and then came back. And
he was AMOC, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, when
Laz
Laz left AMOC a long time ago, it wasn't like AMOC folded up.
Right. That's what
Although,
I mean. I feel like you guys there are enough veteran players at BL that you don't need Elo if he wants to take a break. Let the man have a break if he's
and like
out.
that's the most frustrating part too. Like, someone linked me the thread and it was just people shitting on Elo, and it's like, I mean, be realistic. I mean,
you saw what the guy did. Like, he's literally every night, like 7 days a week, every night runs Fleet. Like,
I know.
And it takes a lot. I mean,
that can cause a lot
the one
of
criticism
burnout.
that Elo has had of me, and I think it's legit, but I hear a lot of these guys say the same thing, is unless you're an FC, you kind of don't have any real understanding of the amount of work it takes to generate content in this game from the people that do it. And I've been trying to help out a lot more behind the scenes with our guys and helping Pando and Shines and those guys do stuff. And the more I see it, I mean, the amount of shit they have to sift through and deal with, and the comms and talking to people and scouts everywhere and just understand. I mean,
sucks. So cherish the ones you have.
It's just a pain in the ass. And after you do that every day for 6-8 months, you're going to get burned out. I mean, it's only a matter of time.
And not only that, but like, that's life. Like, people, like, stuff happens. Like, if somebody has to like move across the country, or a job change, or they're getting married, or they're having kids, like, people have lives to live. And it's just like kind of disgusting the way people reacted and just shit on someone because they're stepping away from the game. And like,
I mean, it's not like our show ended because Dirk left, right?
Well, Goody DuPont is saying like, well, he didn't prop other people up for when
Are we starting the clock over again? Is this week 1 again?
Well, no, like, because Elo, like, Doom Bunny did and has and still is doing a bunch of stuff, and he kind of did, like, I mean, Doom Bunny is easily the best one to be propped up to take over for Elo. A lot of people know him. And Doom Bunny is a pretty good FC too. I mean, but I was just saying, like, the 7 days a week, every night fleets, and it's one thing if you're in the fleets, it's another if you're like planning the fleets, organizing the fleets, getting ships ready for people that don't have them, making sure you have scouts, making sure you have like boosters, making sure you have all the stuff, and then running the fleet, FCing. He does all the probing, he does the scout. Like, he, compared to a lot of other FCs, he does so much shit on his own. So it's like it takes a lot more prep time. Like he's probably prepping for a fleet an hour or two before the fleet even starts forming, and then he runs the fleet, and then so it's like it causes even more burnout than just going on a fleet every night. So
and he does get a lot of support from fellow BL people. Like a lot of people act like if ELO didn't exist, like BL would just be like absolutely nothing. But we have a whole cast of directors. It's not like it's just a title. Like our directors do a lot, and then not only that, but we have other people step up and do a lot. Like our Super FC isn't ELO. The person who runs all the logistics isn't ELO. The person who does like our website and our authentication and our Discord.
You're not the one that does all the logistics?
I do.
Her and
I don't
Tiana
do like shipping. I don't.
I'm
like,
sorry.
we have Zerxo who does like all the shipping logistics. Yeah, stuff like that. We have like our own group that do industry, like people trying to organize, like people who do burners. Like ELO doesn't do burners. He never told people how to do burners. That was a whole other group of people figuring that out.
All right. Well, we've been holding this shot for a while. Let's do a shot.
Shots to Black Legion.
BL shots.
Well, I hope ELO comes back soon because I think, any time, folks like having these characters, these personalities in the game. They help make the game.
He just needs to re-up on his,
I don't say that in a bad way. Like the cycle of ELO, like the dude goes hardcore and then he needs a break, and then he goes hardcore and then he needs a break, and then he goes hardcore.
He's just got to re-up on his sugar
stash. It's only a month or two,
and
then he's back.
Guy's got a sweet tooth. He's just got to get some more sugar.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean it's life. Like he'll probably come back at some point.
He'll lay a couple lines out on the desk and snort it up and play you again. I mean, that's just how ELO is. Hardcore to the end.
So
now that we've beaten this horse to glue, what else is going on? Is there anything else going on?
That was, I think, the only thing.
That was like the thing that everyone's been itching for, but I mean, not like major like breaking news, but what was it? Was it yesterday? I actually didn't even look at the date, but a fiend died, Velsharoon. So he was the guy that what was the other the Imp?
The
Imp.
13...
He had 1337 kills on Imp, and then it blew up. I'm almost did he whelp that on purpose to keep that as the kill score on that thing?
I don't know. I think so. I don't know if it was kill marks. Well, probably kill marks, but he got kills in his character. So he flew it on his main, and then he transferred it to an alt to fly in on his alt to keep the 1337 on Z kill.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's the same dude.
But yeah, so Velsharoon, it was Casper 24's Fiend, which is the Alliance tournament Hictor. So he was in your guys' Space Brisk. He was out in it was
my corp mate that killed him.
Yeah, something LXX constellation. It's like a dead end pocket somewhere. I don't know.
It's our Quirius pocket.
Yeah, I don't know Quirius all that well, but
and it's Quirius pocket.
Yeah, so he was running around in there. I guess he was killing a Vexor Navy issue. And then he was getting out because he started seeing supers and other capitals undocking. And he got through the gate. He gave the slip to some other Hictor. And then when he got into what's that system that's like into the next constellation? It's also the
regional gate.
It's the entrance into Ketch as well.
49. It's like 4-TAC 49 TAC, something like that.
Yeah, GP.
Yeah. So he's
Heads is on the other side.
Yeah, so he had a Bifrost as a scout. He jumps the Bifrost in, sees that there's a Saber on the gate, and a Hell, and he's like, oh well. So I'm just kind of going off what the article said, but they kind of interviewed both parties, and he said that he's like, well, my ship is kind of fit to where I could be able to tank a little bit of fighter damage until I get out of the bubbles, and if I overhit my afterburner, I should be able to get out of the bubble and warp off. So he jumps through, sends the Bifrost off in an opposite direction to get the Saber to chase it. Saber kind of goes that way. He comes in with his Fiend, ends up coming in right like 10-15 kilometers off of the Bifrost, or not the Bifrost, of the Saber. Saber turns around, bubbles him up, and it didn't mention if there was a point, but the Saber pilot said he got within 10, and the Velsharoon said he was 15 away. So I looked at the Saber pilot's past Saber fits, and he almost always has a scram. So I'm not sure if he was in scram range or not. But if he used an afterburner, that wouldn't really matter. But the Hell had all the fighters assigned to the Saber, and he just instantly died into the thing. that they were saying there was some guy breaking it down saying that there might have been some kind of mechanics bug with it, because the Fiend only took 7,000 damage and then died, which doesn't seem like very much for an Alliance Tournament cruiser with tank on it. So
no, not at all.
Like that, to me, that makes it sound like he didn't even have any hardness active.
The argument it sounded like to me was that they were claiming there was some kind of a bug, or he had like 0 transversal, and that's how he got one shot by these Amatots. I don't know. I mean,
because the guy doesn't put webs on his saber, so it wasn't slowed, and but it's like he wouldn't even have any hardeners active if that was the case.
So
and he should have been moving pretty quick to burn out of the bubble. But at the same time, it sounds to me, at least when I talked to my buddies, it sounded to me like there was some kind of pilot error or mistake that was made, because they were all surprised as hell that they got him too. So, to me, sometimes it happens. Like, bad stuff happens. But, but
shouldn't
you hit a button wrong, or you think
even with all of his hardeners off, like he had an abyssal boosted like shield booster. So, and I guess like with all the abyssal things, that's why the cost on Zkill. Let me put the Zkill link out so people can look at it.
And I think the other thing too, so I remember this comment, I think from some of my AT like pilot friends. A lot of times they'll say like sometimes some AT ships you don't really build a tank in, like you try to speed tank, because at the end of the day, if you get caught and you're relying on a tank, then you're pretty much dead already. So a lot of the people will build the fit without like any sort of anything besides like a speed tank.
Yeah, so but I'm just worried because what would the EHP be on this thing if all of his tank and everything was turned off? Wouldn't that just flat out be more than 7,000 by itself?
I don't know.
That's the weird, like 7,000 for a cruiser for a.
He's got no passive hardeners, and there's a nano in the low. So I don't know.
There's like no. Much. Doesn't look like there's like barely anything there, TBH.
Right. The only thing that I would see, if he had his stuff on, that would be one thing. But it looks like, I guess this word amplifier is the only.
Yeah. That's I mean, that probably just plugs a little bit of a hole, but I don't know, but dude got fucking dunked. I mean, long story short, got blasted.
Really I would have cried. I would have cried in the corner. But it's me.
But so they were talking with the guy, and the Zkill says it's about 150 billion ISK, but they were talking with other people, and most of any BPCs for this you can find from people that are selling them, because who won the tournament for that? Was that Hydra Reloaded that won this specific Alliance Tournament Blueprints? Was it Vidra? No, not I mean the one for the Fiend. This was like a couple years ago, wasn't it?
The Fiend, that was actually, it was technically Warlords of the Deep, and then Camel came in second, but they got both disqualified, so Pandemic Legion won it.
Okay.
That was AT-13.
Right. Okay, so, but they were saying that most of these blueprints go for 250 to 300 and something billion, and then also Zkill doesn't account for cost of the Abyssal modified items.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I wish there was a way for Squiz to come up with some kind of way to
it would have to track contract prices that are transferred.
Well, even then, I mean, just maybe look at the base module and give that the general cost, even if it's, I mean, granted, it's T2,
but the thing is, like, you could take,
but
like, a lot of these, though, like the MWD or the Shield Booster, it's like, that's going to put, like, a couple million on there, which isn't going to be very much, but then if you get a really perfect high-end Abyssal modification on it, it could end up being like a billion-isk, because it's like an officer mod. But they talked to the guy, I think that he said it was probably about 50 billion worth of Abyssal items, just that. So he estimated it was like 500 to 600 billion realistic ISK cost for the ship. So,
and the worst thing is, you want to know what the really worst thing is? That was a PvE ratting hell, by the way.
Ouch.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the guy that pointed him, it was his sister that. He's like, hey, get your hell over here. And she's like, all right. But...
Oh, is his sister? That's so cute.
It's a girlfriend.
It's the sibling spanking.
Wait, what do you mean, kind of?
It's a long story that I cannot get into publicly, but T-Soul is one of our favorite guys.
How do you get confused between a sister and a girlfriend?
It's Portugal. He's Portuguese. They're like the West
Those
Virginia
should not be
Europe.
Synonyms, Brisk. You should teach them.
You just have to do it. It's just bad.
I don't know if I could attribute that to just a cultural difference. Sister and girlfriend are two.
It's not sister. It's not sister. It's
okay. The article said
it's
his
like
girlfriend's cousin,
barrier?
I think. So it's
what?
Yeah, it's his girlfriend's cousin. That's he was playing.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, but she's in our corp too. She's great. We play games with them all the time. So we like to give him a hard time. But this was a hell of a kill, and I think I got to give him a lot of credit for it because he drops Helvira on pretty much anything that comes in that pocket. That's one of the things we try to do down there in Quirius. That's our super crab space. So we kind of treat it like Delve. So when people come down there, we tend to like drop everything. Just we don't want them to come back. And for the most part, if you get in there, it's very hard to get out because it's a pocket system with a single pipe to come out of there. And we have the entire place camped, and we've got jump bridges too. So it's
that's
very
that's
easy
the
for us
thing
to
that
move
kind
around.
of blew my mind is it's one thing if you're just roaming around in like a Tech 2 or a faction ship or something like that, but running around one of these. I mean, now that being said, like in the past with what the guy's done with these Alliance tournament ships, so the guy's got a set of cojones, so he probably just didn't give a fuck.
He's had that. I know he's had that imp running around down there because I remember us chasing that imp for like 45 minutes trying to catch that fucking thing. We never were able to do it.
Yeah, but I'm just
that
surprised
in here before.
Because an imp is something different. That's the frigate one, right?
Yep.
That's the interceptor.
Yeah. So this being a Hictor, a lot slower off gates, not interdiction nullified, going into a dead end pocket that's camped a lot. Yeah, I mean dead end pockets are great to get ratting kills.
Yeah,
because,
I give the guy he's got balls of
steel
steel to even come down there. I give him.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that he took this in there without there being a wormhole exit somewhere in there at least.
I think that's how they stage out of there, though, too. Wormholes. Like, they'll find a wormhole and kill something, leave through the wormhole.
That's probably the easiest way to do it. Yeah, and if you're not familiar with that area of space, and you're not going to realize, oh shit, we're in an area that's outside of drop range of everything, and there's only one way in now. Oops.
Log off, friend. Log off.
Exactly. That's your best move. And we love that. I mean, that's our craft space. We like that. That's where a lot of the guys go when we're not deployed. They retire back to Aquarius and they have fun out there. I don't go there very often because I have a ratting hell in there. I don't rat anymore. I hate it. I just don't want to do it. So that thing has been collecting dust.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, the guy's got balls because it's not like he was coming out of there and was like, oh shit, they caught me. He was coming out of there. He saw the camp and was like, fuck you, I'm breaking through this shit. So he's just
right. He's like, you can't catch me.
He YOLO'd through the gate, just come at me. So, I mean, and I think they said that he was going for another 1337 kills on this ship, and I think it said that he was up to like 500. I didn't get the exact number, but 500 and something. So I don't know if he's killed enough to pay for it, but I mean, technically it wasn't his ship anyway, but.
They're rich, though. I'm assuming Casper got his money back.
Yeah.
It's code. They have tons of money, right?
Yeah, like
they have all kinds of
Vertigo says, hubris.
They get all that high sec tax.
All the money from mining permits can buy you a lot of AT ships.
God, do they still run that stuff?
They run anything they can run. Yeah.
Damn. I remember. I wonder if Buckstrider's still. He's probably like one of the biggest code fans I've ever seen. Speaking
of code and high sec and Wardeck type stuff, just wanted to give everybody a heads up. I'm doing a CSM roundtable tomorrow at 1900 Eve with the pro Wardeck crowd, the codes and the pirates and the marmites of the world over on the Wardeck Project Discord server, which I will link here in a second, just to get their perspective on the changes because. We love to crap on the high sec guys and make fun of them and tease them a lot. And you don't care about PvP or only want to gank noobs and that type of stuff. But the reality is this is their play style. They've been doing this for a long time, and they are the experts at Wardex. So I want to hear from them, and I think the CSM needs to hear from them so we can pass on to CCP any ideas that they have beyond what we've already seen for things that could make the Wardeck revamp that's supposed to be coming out in the first quarter of this year better. So I'm opening it up to anybody. Right now, I think it's going to be me and Jen. I'm hoping we get some other CSM guys to show up. It's 2 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday, so hopefully that's a good time for everybody. But it's 1900 Eve, and you're welcome to join us. We'll be in comms, and we'll do some typing and some stuff like that. And hopefully it won't devolve into too much nonsense. But I think the goal will be, I just want to hear from them and what their concerns are, knowing that we're going through with this revamp. So
now, So they're doing the roundtable in are they doing it text wise, or is it going to be in a com?
I'm gonna do it in the War Deck Project Discord, which I will link here as soon as I pull up the link. I'll have everybody on comms. We'll take questions and try to keep it going. Hopefully, it doesn't devolve into too much people yelling over each other, and we can keep everything kind of tight. But I think it's easier when we're talking rather than just typing stuff. I think a lot of times the typing it gets lost in the noise. And I kind of want to hear directly from these guys about, what their biggest issues are, what they would like to see with the new system, how it can be made better and more fun for their play style. So it's simply not just a nerf. Because we don't want to kill war decks completely. We want them to be viable. We just don't want them to be used to stop people from playing, which is, what the data shows right now. So there's got to be a way to fix this to make it fun, but also make it so that it's not a tool where everybody just logs off for a week and that's the meta for fixing a war deck. So hopefully that should be tomorrow. Hopefully that's not too bad. And if that goes okay, then I'm probably going to try to do a couple more roundtables here before the end of January. The CSM Summit, the second CSM Summit, is coming up in middle of February. So I would like to have as much info going into that as we can.
You know what I got to do with that? Now that Dirk's not here, I'm going to have to print all the fucking notes or all the minutes on paper. I'm going to have to highlight
You're going to have to go and hang out with Matterall and read through all the notes and do a line-by-line.
I'm going to have to hang out with Matterall and get take a class, like a how to highlight important shit 101 class with him, and then buy a whole new pack of highlighters and... Fuck.
I mean,
I don't even have a printer.
Go and not just talk the whole time, so he didn't have to do that, or
yeah, isn't Dirk coming to every other open con? Well, he retired and then he was back last week. He's retired again, but he actually was even here on Monday night. So
he's out drinking with the wife.
He's out at the bar right now. We'll see how long that lasts. He might be back next week. He might be back next year. We'll see. But yeah, fuck. I mean, I'm not actually going to print them out, but I am going to have to really read through them this year. Because in previous years, I just skimmed through. It's like, when it'd go on sections of stuff, it's like, I have no clue what any of this is, so I'm just going to skip this section because I'm not going to have any kind of insight on it. Now I'm going to have to try and go through everything and figure out all the aspects of the game. Well, no,
you don't have to go to the summit.
No, I don't have to go to the summit. I mean the minutes, like going through the minutes so we can actually talk about them and find the...
I have to go to the summit. You guys get out of
here. You technically don't have to go.
It's just, I feel like of all the stuff that we do, I was actually upset with myself. Today was the first, we have every Friday we have a CSM meeting. And this is the first Friday I missed the meeting because I was babysitting a senator at our training school. So I had to take him on a tour. So I wasn't able to do the meeting. But I feel like the bare minimum you should expect from somebody that gets elected to CSM is to go to the frickin' summit. I mean, that's like the basic thing that's like the highlight of the year. So it's frustrating for folks. And so far, at least this year, everybody's gone every time. I'm going to have to duck out a little early this year because I have to be in Florida the end of that week for work. So, but I'll be there for the bulk of the stuff. And I think we're going to try to heavy load everything and do the more fun stuff at the end so that guys like us, like me and the others that have work stuff can get out of town. I think Aerith has to get out of town too. He's got some foreign travel too. So
that's not a bad idea though, because so like how long are the summits? Is it a full week or is it 2 weeks?
It's usually a week, and I mean we go. It's funny because if anybody does business travel and they go to conventions, what you find is that the conventions is during the day, and there'll be symposiums and you walk around and you go to vendors and you see everybody in the big on the trade floor and that kind of stuff. But the bulk of the work happens outside of all of that, when you're going to dinner, when you're going to lunches, when you're at the bar afterwards, that type of stuff. So the days, they end up being very, very long, even if the actual work portion is only like 6 or 7 hours. They usually end up going longer. Remember, Merc and Nam and I and Rise, I mean, we closed the bars down at least twice that week, hanging out. And so a lot of times you're out till 2 or 3 in the morning every night, and then you wake up and you got meetings at 9. So you're back out doing it. So it gets to be long. Yeah. Plus, it's a long time for guys like us, who have jobs to be gone in like February.
Well, and also I was going to say, probably in the fact that getting the important stuff that you guys just get down to the nitty gritty with. Because I assume like by the end of the week, you guys are kind of burnt out of like going to meetings every day, and you're probably not wanting to, like, the best time to discuss the important shit is early when you're all like let's get this done, fired up, and then you just save the lazy shit for later when you're all, like you said.
It is, and I think the first, at least the first summit is the one where we're all getting to know each other. So a lot of guys, I mean, this time around, everybody kind of knew each other because there were only 3 of us that were new. The other 7 were all old guys that had known each other before. But I think the team building stuff at the first summit is a bigger deal than it is this time. We know each other. We've been talking to each other for a year. You know, we hung out in Iceland the last time. A lot of us saw each other in Vegas and at some of these other player events. So it's not like we don't see each other outside of the meetings. So I think this time around, we can probably dispense with some of the team building exercises and focus more on getting shit done. But I think last time, the best meeting was Thursday. So hopefully we can front load that stuff and have some of the better meetings in the beginning of the week when we're all there. But we'll see. You know, I know we're in the process of figuring out what we want to talk about. I know I've got a list as long as my arm of stuff people have been bugging me to talk to them about. So we got a lot of stuff we got to go out and do.
Yeah. I'm gonna do another shot. I'm needing some cough syrup.
Who are we shotting for?
Are you doing a shot of cough syrup?
No, vodka works like cough syrup, doesn't it?
Yeah, it should. There's alcohol.
Oh, it's whiskey.
Yeah. I mean, I would be drinking Jaeger, but I drank all that on Monday. But
Shots.
But yeah, we're a little bit behind. I think we're only like, man. We've been like actually talking about Eve, which is a little surprising.
This is weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, like we've been talking
Eric's
about
not
Eve.
here to tell us not to talk about
Aside
Eve.
from the New Year's intro at the very beginning, it's been Eve this whole show. It's we're kind of fucking up here, so we need to get a little bit more drunk. So,
Brisk, have you gotten input on the War Deck roundtable yet? Like, has anybody talked to you at all?
I put a post on the forum, and I mean, look, I've been talking to the War Deck guys, the pro War Deck guys, for 6 months. You know, I joined that Discord when I started running last year. And I've been trying to talk to them earlier a lot just to kind of get their feedback. Because, I mean, these guys are the ones that are going to get the most impacted because they're the ones that are actively doing all this stuff. At the same time, you know, it's part of the reason why we have to fix this is because some of the ways that they have evolved and their emergent gameplay has been bad for the game. So we have to deal with some of this stuff. And I'm hoping that I'll get some constructive feedback beyond fuck you, fuck CCP, you guys all suck, you want to make the game for Care Bears, which is obviously not the case. But at the end of the day, the biggest criticism that we always get on the CSM is, oh, you guys are all null-seckers, you don't know anything about other areas of the game. And as much as I push back on that criticism, the reality is it's kind of true. You know, some of us don't have as much experience in other places of the game than the folks that live there. So part of the job of being a representative is you go and you talk to those people and you find out what they want. So that's what I'm going to do. And I hope I think Jin's going to be joining me. Sort we're going to try to make it, but it's 5 a.m. Australia time for him, so that makes it tough. But we'll see, and hopefully we'll get some good feedback from that, and I can pass that on to Fozzie and the guys that are working on the War Deck stuff. But we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping it's constructive. I don't know. You never know. You get a bunch of people together, and sometimes it just tends to turn into a bitch fest, and I don't want that to be a bitch fest. Because we all know what the problems are, and we've all had a chance to vent. And it's like, just stop bitching. I want to hear.
So, yeah, that's the other thing. So, have you guys done roundtable like CSM? Now, is CCP going to be there? Did you say a CCP person's going to be there as well?
No, it's just going to be CSM.
Okay, so it's just I
don't want the CCP guys there. I want them.
Okay,
so
this is you guys getting the player feedback, so you can bring that to CCP at the
correct.
Summit.
Okay. I mean, if CCP wants to do their own roundtable, and I've urged them to do that, to talk to these guys. But they're neck deep in a ton of different stuff, and I'd rather them focus on things that they need to get done that we can't do. But at the very least, I can sit down, have a meeting, talk to people, get their feelings, put it up, sum it up in a memo, and pass it on to them, and that makes it easier for these guys to get feedback, where they don't have to go sifting through to find it.
Well,
I think this. Marsha's asking about the War Deck stats and how long they were monitored over before they came out with them. Is that like an overall stat?
I mean, to be honest, I don't remember. I don't think they gave us the information on how long they were. We have been urging, and we've said, Sort and I have said this, Suetonia said this, Jin said this multiple times. Aerith said it. Please release the raw data that you showed us. And they did some of the stuff that they said in Vegas was some of the stuff that they showed us, but some of the other stuff that the real granular stuff about impacts before and after Wardex and stuff like that. They didn't go into. And I guess they have their reasons for it. I don't know what they are, but they have their reasons for it, and they haven't released it. But we've asked multiple times because I think part of that is part of the problem, and I think one of the easiest things for these guys to do is just say, "Oh, well, we don't believe the data," and you can do that now. Facts don't matter anymore. It's just what people think and what they feel. And if the feeling is that it's bullshit, then they're going to think it's bullshit. So the more CCP releases, the better I think it is. And I'm always going to be in favor of more transparency than less. Even though, as Rain noted before, sometimes when you tell the line member stuff, they go crazy. So you got to be careful telling them everything. Well, it's the same thing with CCP, but I would rather them go crazy with information than spend all their time speculating about shit and making stuff up.
Now, this is the first roundtable like this that you've done, right? As far as CSM.
Yeah, so this will be my first one. I kind of wanted to get
the test run to see if it gets full of a bunch of people.
So they've done roundtables before.
I'm more worried about the
roundtables.
Jin's done a ton of them, and I'm hoping that he's going to be able to help me out with this because he's got the experience. Look. Everybody on the CSM has a different philosophy of what it's about, and I'm trying to run this like I would if I were in any kind of legislature. Go out, talk to people, do a roundtable, do a town hall, get feedback, be present, let everybody bitch at you and take it, so that's what I'm trying to do. Not everybody views it that way, but that's how I view it, so I'm running it the way that I run it.
Well, it's
hopefully it works out.
Like, bitching with substance is fine. Like if you're like, I don't like this and this is why, that's the constructive feedback you want to hear. If you just like, war decks suck, fix them, it's like that's because that's a lot of the, various stuff like that. You get a lot of that shit on the forums, and it's hard to filter out that noise out of the forum. I mean, it's not hard, but you have to just read a bunch more. So roundtables can kind of expedite that, I guess. But at the same time, so what are you like? How are you gonna run? I mean, you said you're gonna get Jin to help you maybe with the format, but if you get people that come in there and just start, obviously, if they just start shouting over everyone and just yelling and bitching, you're obviously.
Well, I mean, the good thing is, Toxic, who runs who's one of the admins on the Wardeck Discord, has given us mod powers for the thread. So we got our own room in there, and then we'll be in comms, and hopefully I'll be able to mute people if they're acting like idiots, and we'll take care of that. I know he was asking me who else was coming today, so Jin and Sort and those guys could get roles.
Just don't let Dirk in. It should be fairly.
I know exactly. Then nobody will talk over me then, right?
I'm sure Dirk's got a bunch of ideas for Wardex.
So I'm hoping that it turns out okay, and if it does turn out okay, then I want to do some other ones. In particular, frankly, at least as far as I'm concerned, we haven't done enough of these, and that's. Hold on a second.
What are you trying to find?
Alexa.
Is that
my stupid Alexa thing starts?
Oh, I
just said her name again.
Like, what is that?
It's Alexa's in the background trying to talk to me. So shut up, Alexa.
Okay, I don't have Alexa. Is that the new Alexa voice?
Yeah.
Who's
I have my whole office, my whole house has got these things. I got one in my kids' room, in my room, in the kitchen.
Do they ever talk to each other?
Well, it's funny because I'm the only one that knows. I'm the only one that knows how they work. So I like to goof off with my kid.
Turn the music on in your kid's room to wake them up.
Exactly, I have them, like, I'll hear my wife and him talking about something in the kitchen, and then I'll play a song in the background, and they'll be like, "What's going on? Where is that coming from?"
Wait, can Alexa hear us then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alexa, buy sex lube.
She can't hear you now because I got my headset on.
Oh. Wait, you got a headset? It's like a hearing aid headset? Oh, it's like you got the Secret Service coil ear thing.
Look.
You get that from the Secret Service, buddy?
My office is like a recording studio for work, so I can do all the work type stuff. So I've got lights and microphones and all my stuff.
I love the video I saw of.
You can do like MSNBC interviews.
I could do a Zoom or a Skype interview from my office, which is what I've done that before. So
if Dirk had Alexa,
have you used Alexa as an intercom?
I have not yet. I need to start doing that.
You should try that.
It's great. It's like if Dirk had Alexa, he would just DoorDash.
Siri. They said that Siri had shut off the lights in their house. He said, "Oh, this is how Siri works." He says, "Siri, turn off the lights in my house." And he looks over his phone, and his phone is doing it. He's at work, and his wife and kids are home in the dark now.
Well, it's not just Siri, but it's any of those. But I think it's a system. like you set up something. It's like a
Google
Home.
I think there's a Google Home thing.
Yeah.
Google Home, but you have to buy the light bulb or the socket.
Yeah.
It's a process and switch your house over.
Well, it's process for anything. Like, you can't just buy an Alexa and have a smart home.
Do you guys remember our pre-show discussion about how easy it is for some 13-year-old in Russia to like shut down the United States infrastructure?
Yeah.
Right. So let's let them shut down your house.
Yeah, they make it so easy. Like,
remember when you were a kid, your mom would tell you don't talk to strangers and don't get in strange people's cars, and now you can literally go on the internet, summon a stranger, and get in their car.
Putin's just gonna be like, Alexa, turn off American nukes, please. No, the best Alexa video I it was like on one of those like just the funny YouTube videos, and it was this kid that was like, Alexa, play this song. He said some song from like a Disney video, but he said it really weird because he was like 2, and Alexa's like, looking up big black dildos, porn hose, blah, and then the parents are like, no. Like,
it is amusing when she can't figure out the song you're asking for. Like I was trying to get her to play the during Christmas. I was trying to get her to play the Charlie Brown Christmas song, the Vince Garibaldi Trio song. Christmas time is here.
Oh,
and I could not figure out how to explain what that song was to her because I couldn't remember what the actual name is.
This is why you need a Google Home.
Couldn't fucking figure it out.
Because then you could Google search it. Like, Google, what's that song from Charlie Brown? And then it looks it up and plays it.
Google for life.
I don't know. I'm an Amazon guy. Bezos owns everything in Washington now, so I'm kind of an Amazon guy.
I don't know.
So there you go. Anyway, hopefully the roundtable goes okay, and it's not a giant shit show. If it is, it'll be funny, but we'll find out.
Have you had any positive feedback on any other channels yet? Or is it just griefing and bitching and fucking you're wrecking the game?
No, I think there's been a lot of good feedback. When the Wardeck stuff started coming out, I think a lot of people had some good feedback, and the Wardeck Project guys have put out a lot of papers on potential fixes to things. And a lot of the stuff, it's kind of counterintuitive because their biggest gripe, as far as I can tell, is that they want more intel tools. They want to be able to find people in space. And since the watch list went away, it's very hard for them to find folks when they're trying to fight. So I'm guaranteeing that I think one of the things going to come out of this is going to ask for some kind of an intelligence tool to help them figure out where the bad guys that they're fighting are so they can go find them, and vice versa. But other than that, I think a lot of the stuff is kind of been beaten down. And I think the structure stuff has been talked about a lot. That was always the easiest solution to everything. But I think at the same time, a lot of people thought that the structure solution was just, it was the easy thing to do, and that they kind of half-assed it. So I know that a lot of the guys didn't like it, and there have been easy workarounds.
Well, I mean, that's one of the ways to find people you're going to fight.
Locator agents.
You have their structure. You bash their structure, they have to come defend it. Now you don't need any intel tools. They're coming to the fight.
Vertigo,
or they're losing the structure.
Vertigo's already said there's locator agents. I've never used them. I don't know how to use them, but I know
there are. The locator agents are a thing, but for them it was much easier when they had the old watch list days where you could just add somebody and find out where they are.
The locator agents require that you be actually involved in other aspects of the game besides war decking. So
correct. That requires more.
Yeah, like I said, I knew that they existed. I didn't know how they worked or what was required, but
and then I think to a certain extent some of the problems that these guys have, and they complain about, well, if you get Wardeck and you don't want to just drop corp and make a new corp, I mean, people don't want to do that.
The thing though is a lot of times people make corps so they don't have to pay the tax for ratting or refining. They want now. Or
if you've got that perfect name, that perfect corp name.
Yeah,
somebody war decks.
Yeah,
so
like,
well, fuck it. I guess I have to put a dot behind it.
And it's also if you're in a new corp, the corp chat is not something private between you and your buddies. It's some open thing to a quarter of the
half the game
corp populations.
Corp. Yeah,
well, because there's four. Or no, there's 3 new corps per
race
per faction, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's anyway, a 12th, I guess, but.
So you got 1,000 people in every chat. I mean, basically.
Yeah. So it makes the corp chatting a lot more difficult because you have to make a private channel. I mean, you could do that. You could make a private channel that your specific friends. But yeah, you don't have corp hangers. You don't have all kinds of stuff. And now I know with the new Wardeck system, because a lot of people they're like, well, we want to get our own, the refining stations. What are they called?
Ritarus?
The Ritarus and stuff, or stuff like that.
Right.
But if you have one of those, then even with the new system, you'll be able to be war decked. So, but I don't know.
Blue Garden is asking about cloaky camping, and I think that's a separate subject, but it's something we've talked about.
Well, the thing with cloaky camping is, I remember way back, like what was this, like 3 years ago when the Citadels were first being, they hadn't even come out yet, and they were first being released and showboated at Vegas. They were saying, the initial Citadels were the big hype thing, but they're like, oh, in the future we're going to have more structures, like refining structures and industry structures. And then they were even talking about, like, they had mentioned back then, intel structures, things like stuff that might, and these were just ideas they were throwing off, which I think aren't set in stone, but they were talking about potentially things that you could send a pulse every, like, so often that would decloak people in the system, or things that would delay local in the system if you wanted, so that people that jumped in.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I would love to see.
But
I think
they're a ways out. If they're going to make
local as
those.
an intel tool is annoying. Local was never supposed to be an intel tool. It was supposed to be a chat tool. So I'd rather try to find another way to make an intel tool that everybody can use. That's not as labor intensive as DScan, but at the same time is not as obviously easy and stupidly simple. That doesn't make any sense as local chat having a list of everybody that's in the system.
Local chat's not a tool anymore, man. It's like the inconsistent tool these days. So.
Well, it's a tool.
CCP's
that's another. That's another thing. The chat issues are another thing, and I'm getting to the point of being a little exasperated because, the chat stuff is it's not working, and Jita was busted for like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks now. And hopefully we'll see some changes in the future. Hopefully they talked about it at the meeting today that I missed. I didn't see.
I like when Jita local is busted because then you don't have to look at all the fucking bullshit.
Well, it's funny. I made a comment on Reddit. I was like, wow, I didn't realize all you guys really cared that much about Jita chat, and I got downvoted. So I guess people like Jita chat. So or else they just don't like me. But
all those people that are posting all those sales, man. They're like, damn, dude.
It's 90% just bot spam, but. I mean, sometimes you see some funny shit come up. People get into a conversation, or I don't know. It's just like any local, and the fact that there's 2,000 characters in the 1,500 to 2,000 characters in the system all the time. Probably about 800 actual people, because a bunch of them are just like spam bots. But
if you're gonna change local in nullsec, it has to be with the SOV. So if you own the SOV, you should be able to control.
Well, that's what they're talking about with the potential structures in the future. Is you can set delayed local in certain systems.
Well, and that was kind of one of the things that I had brought up and we had talked about was, make it possible, make instant local, at least in nullsec. I'd leave highsec and lowsec alone because that becomes more problematic when you have soft structures.
The lore behind local chat is when you come through a gate, your pod is registered with the gate, and you get placed in.
I would think highsec like instant local should just always be a thing because it's faction regulated. The factions are like police. Like every gate you jump through has customs officers and all kinds of stuff on them. So that I could see making sense that maybe make it to where you don't show up until you decloak. Like you decloak and then the customs are like, hey, this dude came in. But I mean, I don't know if that would really make a difference. It might just add more complexity than it's really necessary. So maybe
at least you're not gonna get the heads up 20 seconds before they decloak that somebody's in the system. I mean that's a little bit of time, but I mean at least what I'd argue was
fire you wouldn't know, but
make the instant local an iHub upgrade, and you have to put it on there, and then make a way for you can entosis the iHub or fuck the iHub or disrupt the iHub so you can drop the local or something like that. Make it some kind of a gameplay mechanic that gives people a reason to want to go in there and screw with the
hacking mini game on the iHub so you can disable
exactly something like that. I mean that would be cool.
Dude, that's I have all day. I actually like the hacking mini game. Like that's one of the.
It's fun.
There's a lot of people that don't like the bells and whistles they've added to some of the stuff, but that was one because I never did scanning before that, and I mean I don't do a lot of scanning now, but now if I just get that, just that kind of random, like, I'm going to go out and, like, scan some sites. I like it. It's fun. It's super quick. I'm always too quick on clicking, but I was like, okay, there's something right next door, and then you click it. But yeah, hacking's fun.
So, and somebody in the chat had said, if you don't like local as an intel tool, what about kill mails and fits and seeing the SOT? I'm like, I'm not talking about like intel about what somebody's flying or what their fittings are. I'm talking about instantaneous information about whether somebody is physically present, because that's a huge advantage if you know they're there. You're not hunting for somebody if you know they're not in local. At the same time, it's hard to, move a fleet through space and try to be stealthy about it, even if you're in like cloaked ships or stealth bombers, or you got a Blops fleet. If you're in local and they know you're there, and the easiest thing to do, and for a lot of these null bears that don't want to, that are very risk averse, is the minute they see a Newton local, no matter what it is, even if they look and they see there's some reason for it, they're going to dock up. I'd rather have a tool that gives folks to stay out there a little bit longer. So I'd rather them be out there longer. The other thing,
also the delayed local would really fuck up bots,
what?
like mining or mining.
Right, exactly.
Mining and
that's
ratting
another
bots.
thing. Right.
Even if like CCP has been doing a lot of work on banning those things, but if there was delayed local and the bots had no way of knowing that an interceptor or someone just popped into the system, you would be seeing bots get like just feeding shit left.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you'd be seeing everyone else too, because bot or not, if you like don't know someone's in the system until they're warping into your site, but at least then you could try and start aligning off. Depending on what you're in, you might get away. Depending on also what they're in, but the bots would just.
And it was glorious. I remember last February when they did the changeover, and there was like a day or two where chat was just down, like local was just down, didn't work at all, and we didn't see anything. We took some fleets out and the bots were glorious. They were everywhere. They were just sitting. They had no idea we were there. We were killing everything. It was great, So I would love. That's why I think a lot of this would make a lot of the botting stuff easier too. Although one of the things that I've been trying to get people to realize is, at least on the botting front, it's easy to identify the bots, and you want to try to ban them as much as you can. But then people are all like, why is it even possible to do this? Why don't we just nerf this so that they can't bot? Well, you can't change the gameplay for people who are actually sitting there.
Yeah, well,
to try to stop people from AFKing it, because it doesn't work, and it just means that you're going to turn the game, itself into something more annoying.
If
anyone been following Noisy Gamer on Twitter and his distribution bots, the holo bots?
Yeah, I love it when he's doing those guys.
I remember seeing something that he was.
How many waves have they gone through? Does anyone know?
I have no idea.
Be at least a dozen.
There's at least 3 recently. Like he'll screenshot like their activity.
4.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, look, the thing with those bots is the reason why they keep coming back is almost all of these bots are tied to RMT.
Yeah.
And it's real money. So why would you not try to find ways around it? They're going to keep coming back. And that's what I think people get frustrated, because they feel like all their efforts against the bots are for naught. I reported this guy and we finally got him banned and he was back another week later. Well, yeah, that's going to happen. It's a never-ending process.
And
you got to keep fighting it.
Yeah, Thedinko was saying like, well, the bots would just program a D-scan thing. Well, it's like, yeah, but if that was the case, you could what are those? What's the Tech 2 cruisers that are immune
combat,
to
recon?
The combat recons. People just start ganking bots in those, but
yeah, it's like anything. You
you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Oh man, you pulled the Drayden.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Cut out. We can hear you now, Albie. We can hear you.
Okay, so it's like if you program something to combat the bots are just going to program something to combat what you created to combat the bots.
Exactly.
It's another escalating bullshit.
I mean, if it came down to where you couldn't know that they're there until they landed on grid, they would eventually just make something where it's like they would just watch their overview, and the second they would just set their states a certain way. Like the second someone that was a non-rat even started coming on grid, they would instantly start. Like they would be faster than human reaction to get out, so they would be like the most likely to escape it.
And the other problem, and unfortunately, and I think Goonie DuPont made my point for me, which was basically CCP should work against bots harder, not changing everybody's game to deal with the bots, and that's absolutely true. The hard part is that I feel like because team security does a lot of their stuff behind the scenes, and because they're dealing with bans and that there are legal repercussions on some of this stuff, that they can't be as out front with us about what they're doing. as other groups can. And yeah, we get the security report every couple months. Falcon does a blog post and they tell us how many bots they ban and this type of stuff. But there's a lot of things I would love to see them do, even more transparency. Give us a list of names of people that did it, so we can police that stuff ourselves. Just see the list of names and go back and look at it. But there's a lot of stuff that these guys don't do because they're kind of constrained. And it's one of those problems of, it's kind of like, the old joke in the United States about the CIA is everybody thinks the CIA is incompetent because you only hear about when they screw up. When they do good stuff, you never hear about it.
That's because they aren't going to say, because it's like ops success.
So if they're doing their job, you're not going to hear about it.
Right. So if they're doing their job, you're not hearing about it. So they're working and banning people left and right, but you're not supposed to talk about bans on the forums. You're not supposed to talk about bans in general. And they don't release the actual information until months after it's happened. Every once in a while, we'll see tweets and stuff like that where it comes out. So it's not like they could be out front and tell us we banned 17 bots today. As much as I would love to see that, they're just not going to do that because they don't want folks to see who they're targeting. And plus, a lot of these investigations are a bigger deal. Like I tell people all the time, just because you reported a bot and it hasn't been removed doesn't mean that there's not an investigation and that they're not trying to roll up the rest of this guy's characters and all the money that he's putting out. Because some of the stuff takes a long time. You don't want to just bag the guys selling on the corner when you can bag the kingpin down the road. So
you want the Pablo Escobar of bots.
Exactly.
And to what Goonie DuPont was saying about not changing other people, just saying that this is all started on a conversation that was just like a hypothetical what if, based on a structure that CCP was talking about making potentially in the future as far as Citadels. I bet at this point it'd be one of the flex structures. But so this wasn't changed, and it wasn't they were talking about making it to combat bots. It was just something they were going to make anyway, and the thing that it would hinder bots a little bit more is just like a collateral effect of it. So it's not like we're talking about, hey, they should make this change to get rid of botters. But
to Adatop's point about the view from outside the Imperium is that all the bots are in the Imperium. I think it's funny because the view from inside the Imperium is that the bots are all in the drone lands. It's all Russians, So at least in my experience, when in our renter groups, we found folks have been botting. Either we kill them ourselves or they get kicked pretty quick. So I know our guys are very unhappy when they see that. And I know when Pellegro and the guys were warping supers and titans that were related to botting accounts to HiSec to blow them up. When we saw a couple of Init associates on there, we were kind of pissed about it. I think anywhere you got renters, anywhere there's rental space, you're going to have bots because that ends up being what it is.
It's not just rental space, but yeah, that's definitely.
But I think that's the majority of it.
I would probably say that there's a higher concentration in rental space, but I mean bots are just everywhere, in every security of space. Maybe not wormholes.
The distribution bot mission bot thing is crazy. I had no idea that was even a thing until like 2 months ago when we started talking about it on Reddit and folks started bringing it up. Because are those missions really that lucrative that you're making that much money?
Any mission when you get up to level 4 starts making decent money.
I guess. Yeah. Every time I do distribution missions, it's usually because I accidentally clicked on one instead of a security mission. So I guess all right. Yeah, I guess the Thucker LP. Yeah, that's a good point, Noisy. I guess there is some ways of making ISK with that. That's pretty significant, but I don't know. I've never found those missions to be that engaging in the first place.
Man.
Oh, I forgot. We were talking about. I want to talk about the cloaked camping thing. So,
yeah. Oh right.
We brought this up and we talked about it a little bit at the summit. I don't remember if it was in the minutes or not, so I'm not going to go into details. But what I think the best solution to that would be is cloaking camping is a thing. It's always going to be a thing. It's not something that we should take out of the game, but we can make it a little less oppressive. So my philosophy was just increase the capacitor cost on the modules, on the stealth module, on the cloaking device module, and so that you can only sit in space for like 2 hours before you're capped out, or an hour before you're capped out, and let it be impacted by skills.
But why do that, or just add a max timer and then a cooldown for the?
Well, and that's like we.
I think the cap thing would be easier to implement.
What about?
I mean, that's a possibility too.
So
you make the cloak use fuel, nanite paste or something like that. You add a fuel bay to Cov-Op ships, and now you have to bring in a fuel truck to keep your cloaky camper in a certain piece of space. That makes it more engaging. It makes it less AFK. That makes it actually cost you ISK.
What about?
But you could still AFK. Like if fuel lasts for 3 hours, you get AFK.
Non-cloaky ships, like so you have bombers and stuff. But what if you're just like, hey, I want to cloak in my slasher because like that's all I really have at the moment. My character can't fly a bomber, and they don't have a fuel bay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that would make it tougher. I mean,
that's why I think they should just add a max timer.
Maybe just have it.
We have mods now that are one shot and then cooldown.
Maybe have it use charges, like cap charges or something.
I don't think we should go that route because that's going to make it much harder. But I mean, hey, you know what? You could do cap charges because
you could make it a cycle time.
If you make it use cap, then there you go.
What about your capitals?
Yeah, well, like a super easy thing is you can just have it be like a cycle time. Like you activate the cloak and you stay like the cycle time is an hour, 2 hours, and you stay cloaked for that long, and then it turns off. So you can AFK for a little bit, but you can't. I mean, so this was actually something that we brought up way back. I think when we were still on Eve Radio with the show, like talking about cloaky camping and doing stuff like that to combat it, and then, I mean, that would be a simple one. Just put a not a cooldown, but like a cycle timer on the cloak, or either that or like the structure that they talked about, possibly like you could activate it, decloaks everyone in the system. That way, if they're active and actually on, they see themselves get decloaked, they can cloak right back up. Doesn't work. But if they're actively camping, then active cloaky camping is fine. If they're actively sitting there. But people that just cloak up and like get up and leave the computer on for 2 days sucks. I mean, it's a thing right now. It happens. You got to deal with it. But
part of the thing is,
AFK cloaking in a bomber and not the person attempting to move their super or their capital, and then they're getting camped, so they hide out of safe and cloak. And that would completely fuck over everyone not moving capitals with a giant cap blob.
Well, I think Autotop's point about the targeting delay is probably not a bad idea, because I think one of the things, if you're doing blops, the first thing you do, you undo your cloak and you hit your covert Cyno, and there you go. If it takes longer to be able to do that, so that you're on grid longer and somebody sees what's going on and they have a chance to react, that might be a way around it. But then again, that might be too overpowered to the point that it makes blops not possible anymore. So I think
or you can make a structure that sends a pulse out that decloaks dudes in system.
I mean, that's doable too. I mean, that would be another structure for the Upwell guys to do. I mean, the fact is, structure-wise, we're not done yet. I mean, there's still a bunch of other structures that they announced that have not come out, and I think unfortunately, it sounds to me like it's going to be a little while longer till they finish everything. I'm hoping. Sort and I've been talking about Sort's big goal is he wants to leave, or at least when he's done with the CSM finally, whenever he decides not to run again, he wants the postcode to be gone. And I think we're getting closer and closer to that dream. But until we get the rest of these structures done, we can't do it yet. And I know they've talked about like how propaganda many more structures and other stuff. So.
How many more do they? Because there's the moon mining things are already out. The
system
processing,
jammers, jump bridges,
the system jammers, the Cyno beacons, jump bridge soon. Yeah, so I'm like,
I think other than like, I mean, everything that POSs can currently.
I think they have. So at this point, there isn't anything other than like hardeners and stuff.
Well, all right,
don't need the have not. For POS, we're gonna get rid of the POS. So
they haven't looked at the day tripping stuff, which is one of the things that I think they were trying to get done.
Day tripping
was basically, to have a small structure that has a very quick online time that you can bring with you as like a staging base. Like
they left an option open because like there's the medium. The Astros is the medium.
It's the small. It's supposed to be the small structure.
They never made a small, so they let.
That's the thing. That's the placeholder for the small. Is for these.
Basically non-capital ships, I would assume, just battleship and small.
Yeah, small is the mobile depot.
Right, something you can dump into space that has tether and gives you a place to dump things that you can go back to, but not something that's going to have multiple armor timers, and it's not right. It's not something that you would bring to do more than like a forward staging base kind of thing.
Well, that would almost sound like a tiny thing to me, because like the
haven't been shot in a while.
They've said before it's a mobile depot. The mobile depot is supposed to be the small.
But I was saying like the Astros is pretty decently sized even for a medium, but So like maybe the small would be like something you could dock up in, but not capitals at all. Like not even freighters, no carriers, no anything like that. Just battleships and smaller.
I mean, a day tripper. I think you still need to be able to dock like a freighter.
Well,
I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
that could be an X small.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
New ship class,
Shots.
the mini freighter.
Shots.
But I mean, yeah, I'm not saying like they're out of structures to make, but I guess yeah. So aside from something like that, every function the POS has is pretty much out at this point. And so now they're just giving I think they're giving leeway time for people to pick up their POSes and get all their stuff moved over to
right. I'm just waiting for them to come up with something that's small and movable. You know, for a lot. I mean, honestly, you got a lot of guys that they still park their Titans and their Supers in a POS because it's easy to do and it's safe.
I mean, that makes sense because if you can't afford a Keep Star, not everyone can.
Right, and you can't bump off of you can't bump in a force field. So, I mean, there's still things that the POSes do better than the upwell structures do, and they have not come up with those solutions yet. I mean, maybe it just means I don't have a problem with it being harder. You know, there's no because of Keep Stars. You know, a Titan or a Super is not a casket ship anymore.
Right.
So it's not like you have to say have a sitter hold or something.
Yeah. So that's something I didn't think about though, is having a safe spot to park Supers for cheap because.
Right. I mean that's
even
one
if they
thing
made
I've
a small
heard
day tripper thing like you were saying, that wouldn't do because like you could sit it there tethered to it and people would
but you're gonna get bumped. Yeah, right. Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know unless they made, but then it would just be like a POS if they made something that had like a no bumping shield or like a anti like you need access to get like you can't even get within tether range without having access. But at that point, it's maybe they make something like a POS that uses something that's not POS code, like it uses like the new coding. I don't know. Maybe they just kind of reinvent a new POS version.
Yeah, back to Chainsaw's point about cloaky camping in the chat. I mean, he's absolutely right. I mean, cloaky camping in general, that really is just a psychological thing for the most part. You see this new, what are you going to do? Do you think this guy's an actual risk? You got to go look at his kill board. All right, how many times has he been in blops? How many times have he been in fleets where stuff has died? You got to do the math. And then you got to know your space. You got to know what's in drop range. You got to know whether or not they could be hitting you and go and look and see if there are any systems are in the area that have people in them, that type of stuff. It's hard, but it's always a risk. And frankly, for the big groups, it doesn't matter. You know, if I'm in Quirius ratting in a hell or something, I'm hoping that I get dropped because at least that's content. You know, and I'll have a response fleet up in 2 minutes, you know, dropping on them, and I'll have my facts ready to go too. And the same with Dell, the same with any of the places where you've got a super cap umbrella. So it's not that big a deal. It's a bigger deal, like, you know, when goons were going after GOTG space with the NDSA or NGSA, and they had like every single botting system, every single ratting system that Dead Coalition had. I gotta say Dead Coalition or sort of bust my nuts. If they were completely covered by all the cloaky camping, and they couldn't do anything because every once in a while they got dropped, and so it was one of those things where you can't really be sure.
Right. There are people now that make these alts, and they get paid to just camp every system.
Right. Exactly. Right. I mean, that was NGSA the whole point. So, you know, that's why I feel like, you know, one of the things that makes me laugh is when everybody assumes everything the CSM talks about or does is designed to make the Imperium stronger. And this is one thing where if they did change the cloaking camping stuff, it would screw us because we're the ones who've been doing the cloaking camping the most over the last 6 months. We'll see. I mean, a lot of this stuff is still being talked about, and I don't know if it's in plans for the rest of the year. We're still waiting. We haven't got a roadmap yet of what they want to do in 2019. I think part of the summit is going to be talking about those plans, so we have an idea of what they want to do and then what we want them to do.
I feel like it's really hard. Like a lot of people that use the thing where if a change is coming, they're like, oh, that's just going to benefit the big guy, or it's going to hurt the little guy. I feel like it's really hard to like. The vast majority of changes that happen affect everyone the same, and a lot of times it just comes down to density of use of that mechanic, to where it's like the more people you have doing it, or the more often you do it, the more profitable it is, and that just generally benefits the larger groups because they have more people doing it more often, compared to the smaller groups. But the thing is, like, if you nerf that, it's going to nerf because the little bit that the small groups do, they're still getting less anyway. So anything that affects the big groups usually affects the small groups just as much.
And that's part of the and that's one of the difficulties in doing the larger balance. And it's also one of the problems that that we try to bring up every time. The fact is, the bigger groups, the tests, the Imperiums,
and they can absorb a loss more than smaller groups can. That's the thing. So
they are more adaptable because they've got more resources. So when the jump gate thing, the jump gate thing came out, one of the big concerns that we had on the CSM when we were talking to these guys was, you're giving everybody like a week to do the changeover, and that's not enough time for a lot of these smaller groups to source all the stuff that they need to do, build everything that they need to do. These are unresearched BPCs that are going to be brought in, so it's not like they're any reduced amount of time. So a lot of the times it's going to take a long time for these guys to get built up. And it was even tough for Imperium. It took us a little while to get everything done, and that's with the best logistics guys in the game.
So that's not taking into account the amount of players that don't pay attention on what the fuck is going on. And they just cruise along like nothing's ever going to change. Then something changes and they have to catch up.
Right. And so one of the things we always get frustrated with is you can't balance the game based on what the big guys are doing, because the big guys are going to adapt to whatever you fix. So whenever these changes go through, you absolutely have to look at, or what's the impact going to be on the medium to smaller alliances. And it can't just be what's going to happen in nullsec. It's got to, what is the impact on lowsec? What's the impact on highsec? And sometimes they haven't done a good job of doing that. And then there are things that get busted that need to get fixed that still haven't been fixed. I mean, Citadels in lowsec in faction warfare have been a problem since Citadels came out. And I want there to be a solution to that. There just isn't one. And there's not enough density there for us to make enough noise to get that to the top of the list. In fact, I didn't think we were going to get Vortex done. If it hadn't been the fact that they went and did the research and realized, holy shit, we're hemorrhaging players because of Vortex, that I don't think that would have got done either. It was just one of those things that everybody complains about it all the time, but it's one of those, this is Eve hardened the fuck up, and you're not gonna be able to fix it. And I think once they realized that we were losing players in significant numbers, that had to be something that gets fixed. But a lot of the stuff, you're not losing players; they're just going somewhere else and doing something else. And
you have entered the millennial age of Eve. Harden the fuck up doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's offensive to tell people they have to deal with their feelings.
That's a microaggression, Drayden.
Like people are only allowed to experience feelings they want to have induced by other people. That's like the New World Order. Not George Bush Sr.'s New World Order, but
right.
Was that just nonsense I said?
Yes, I don't know.
That's confusing.
Like we're channeling Dirk.
You're kind of you're almost at Drayden or at Dirk levels. Not there yet. You're not as loud as he is.
Well, okay. At least I said it with
You said it with conviction, and that's what counts.
Well, okay, there we go. Yeah, the way it works.
So, all right. So while I got you guys here, what do you think needs to get fixed? What's the worst? What's the worst thing other than the chat? Because obviously that's
Sav wanting.
Did you hear what Iron Wolf and I were talking about before the show?
No, I was running around.
You guys went on a whole thing, and I was just like, God damn, save it for the show.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, Jesus, talking on the show, Ring.
Like you guys had a whole half-hour conversation. I'm like, this would have been nice an hour from now, but.
I think it started out with.
We started. Well, I forgot.
I think you pointed out how you're sick of Briss said something about there might be a working off, and you were like, no, not really. Like Legacy, Imperium teamed up. People need to stop doing the blue donut circle jerk. Not just them, but
I said people need to stop holding each other's cocks and start telling each other to go fuck themselves again and having some fights. I mean,
and you were talking about how different the resources don't make it incentive to.
So then I jumped into if people like Imperium, if they want to sit and delve and only sit and delve and just rat and mine and build Titans because that's what they want to do rather than go out and take space or fight their neighbor instead of teaming up with their neighbor. I said we can't fault them for it because there's no reason for them not to. They are people like Imperium are able to be completely self-sufficient and delve, and that's not their fault. That's not other players' fault. That's the game's fault. The game allows you to be self-sufficient and doesn't encourage meaningful conflict. That's not anyone's fault but the game's. Well, it was like a 30-minute conversation, but it was
it's an inevitability with an actual sandbox game that's not regulated as far as size. I think one of the things that Iron Wolf was talking about that he was specifically unhappy with is the opening of jump bridges to anyone on your blue list. So is aside from Alliance. So
what I said
only.
Is not just that. Like when they put the jump bridges and stuff in the ACLs and they're opening it up, they're promoting grouping up. When I think the game needs more smaller entities. If you go back in time to I don't know, let's say 0809, you had more single alliances. I mean, we always had the big Northern Coalition or whatever, but you had more single entity alliances, going out and starting wars, smaller fights. It wasn't, now just like a big coalition against a big coalition. Obviously times change and the game progresses. But at the same time, smaller groups seem to be getting more snuffed out.
Well, the thing with it is, and this is actually something in one of the articles I was kind of glancing over, and it's one of those speculation articles. But and I'm not going they were going into some crazy stuff about redistributing ore across all the regions to make like certain ores like available in only certain regions, so that it causes diversity. And it's like that would be a terrible idea. That would be, I think, one of the few changes that would massively benefit the large groups over the small groups because they could bottleneck it. But what I'm saying with that though is what they did mention in there is like the game is a sandbox, and now this wasn't written in the article, but the progression of general sandboxes, especially in a PvP, it's not a total PvP game, but PvP oriented, is that generally, if you have a lot more people that can team up and you can make a larger force, more people is more successful a lot of times. That's what people are, not everyone, but there's going to be a lot of people gravitate towards that. And so it's just going to naturally create those large groups. And so that's part of the sandbox, is the fact that that is a viable option. If you make that impossible, you're actually not having a full open sandbox.
I'm not
you're
saying
limiting it, and then people might be like, well, this isn't the sandbox I wanted.
We've always had the big groups. Like, that's not... I'm just saying that the smaller, like, back in the day, you had, when Tri was big and, Black Legion was around, and then PL did their own thing, and, back then NC was part of Tri, and then, Lol Kia was around, and you had a bunch of more dudes, and there was more fights because more alliances would go pick on each other. And now, for a coalition to go pick on the coalition, that's like a big endeavor. I mean...
Sorry,
and to a certain extent, the other thing you guys were talking about that I think is legit is some of these groups are pretty old, and they've got a lot of marquee players that have been around a long time, and that's making it harder for the new guys to kind of filter their way up. But it is what it is. I mean, you can't tell people to stop playing, especially the goes of us have put a lot of time in.
No, I think it's hard for dudes that are in charge to let go of positions to see what happens, because they're afraid what's going to happen once that new guy takes over. I mean, NC Dawn has always been Vince Draken. Whether Vince plays anymore, I don't really see him around much. But
Evenews 24 is kind of dead. I was looking on Total.
No, they got articles.
The last article is written was before last week's show. I don't think they've had a single article in a whole week.
Well, there hasn't been a lot of news this week.
There hasn't been, but even though there hasn't been a lot of news, at least INN's put up some random stuff. Even New Eden Report put up a couple. The last article for Even News 24, I think it was like December 24th or something like that. So I was a little surprised. I was like, man, do they have writers anymore? And I started looking at the history. They put out like one, maybe two articles a week now.
Yeah.
INN's not deadish. INN at least puts out generally at least an article a day.
There's got to be stuff going on in the post articles too.
I mean, whether the article is good or not, it's debatable, but at least they're putting stuff out. Whereas Even News 24 is just 70% of the time there's no article for the day.
Yeah, Marsha, it's your fault. And yours did.
Yeah, and I mean, like New Eden Report is kind of a newer. They're like the new, the newer of the
new kid on the block.
Yeah, they're like the new news conglomerate. But I don't know. They seem to be decent. I like some of the stuff they've been putting out.
If you guys haven't done it,
they have. If you go to TotalEve.com, you'll see the thing. If you just click on the New Eden Report icon at the top of their feed, it'll bring you to their website.
If you haven't done it, generating content on a daily basis for anything,
well, it's hard.
Very hard to do.
It is. INN has. That's the thing. Is like INN has more writers than New Eden Report or Eden News 24. So that's the reason why they can put out articles all the time. Because one person might put out an article every other week, or maybe once a week. But when you have 10 people doing that, you generally get articles every day. I'm guessing New Eden Report doesn't have as many writers, but maybe they're on the up and up, so they might go higher. But
I know when I started my first political website. When I started my first political website, I want to say in like 2008, and I did that for like a year on my own, and it was fun in the beginning when you have a lot to talk about, but then you wake up and it's just a fucking chore. You've got to sit there. What am I going to write about today that I haven't written about before? And everyone, there's current events and there's stuff, but there's always dead times during the year in August and other times where there's just nothing going on, and it's hard to push that stuff out. And then if you're not recruiting a bunch of folks to write, and you're not pushing them to get content up, then it becomes very hard to maintain that stuff. And that's why a lot of these groups, they come and go, and as people get interested and they get, they're fired up and they got the fire in the belly and they want to write and do stuff. And then after a while, it becomes less fun and more work, and then it's harder to do it. And you've got to constantly, bring new people in that still have that fire and keep it going. It's tough. I give Marcia and everybody, all the guys, credit for NER working as well as it has, and the EN24 guys, they've been doing this for years. INN guys been doing this for years. That's hard to sustain. It's really hard to sustain.
Well, it is, and I mean, I've never dealt with the writing side of INN. I've always been on the streaming side, but Matterall, I mean, he does the talking station stuff too. But is he still the chief editor for INN? I'm not even sure, but he was for a long time.
I don't think so. I don't think he is.
He was for a long time, so he dealt with a lot of the written in articles, and so I think that INN had not a massive turn. It's not like we were going through writers every week or something, but I mean, it was like there was some people that stayed for a long time, but there was a good kind of chunk of people that would like come write for a few months and then disappear, and then someone else would come in write for. So there was like the constant rolling new guys, and then like the established people that stuck around for years and wrote articles.
Creating content in EVE can be very easy to burn out. Not just doing stuff in the game, but doing content out of the game.
Everything, all of that stuff is easy.
Streaming articles, yeah.
That's one of the jokes about CSM that I heard a bunch of times from people. Is that you're on CSM and then you quit playing as soon as you're off. It's like, all right, you get so immersed in all this stuff, but you get burnt out very quickly. Fortunately, that has not happened to me yet. So,
jinx yourself.
I'm still here.
Okay,
still losing.
Matterall is not the editor in chief.
Well, here's it's been a while. That's something we can talk about. We haven't talked about
a year ago, 6 months to a year ago. He still was, but I know I was pretty sure for a while he had backed out of that because of just having too much on his plate.
I wish we could get Matterall in here. I want to talk about talking stations leaving INN and doing their own thing.
They're
gonna have their own channel. That's a big.
That's
yeah. They're going to be getting their own channel and splitting off. And
is that going to save his Keepstar?
They're.
Can he say he's friends with Mittens now?
I mean, it's not going to bring it back from the dead. It might pay for a new Keepstar. Who knows? But, So, they are doing that. I don't know when. Like, I'll have to ask him when that's actually happening. Do we have a date? I'm sure Dirk knows the date, but
I should check and see. I thought it was going to be as of like the first of the year, but I have not seen.
Yeah, because I know that their last INN or their last TIS show was still on this channel last week, but I'm not sure if
the last Talking in Stations I listened to, he talked about moving to a new channel because the turnaround for YouTube was too slow with INN. It would take 3 or 4 days for INN to put their YouTube videos up, whereas he can do it like an hour or so.
Oh, hey, McLeod says Matterall might be on the way. Nice. Thanks, McLeod. Oh, look at McLeod.
There you go. All I had to do was throw the Matterall phone up.
McLeod's like he's like the background wizard producer.
We'll call this the exit interview.
Yeah, it's like when you said there's a guy, I wish we could get a hold of Matterall. I was like, I could Discord him, but nah. McLeod's like, I'm on it, bro. Got it.
Aria's saying we want to be able to go live at a moment's notice as well. You can't really do that with INN.
Yeah. I mean, like, he probably won't pop in video, but he'll pop in TeamSpeak maybe.
Oh, it's so easy to start your own channel, and then people can just set it as
there he is.
they follow your channel, and then when you start
Hello.
when you pop
Speak
up
of the devil.
Hey, there he is. Man, look at that. Ask and ye shall receive. So
I was summoned, I believe.
yeah, so
I want to hear all about the changeover.
Yeah,
What's
so-
happening in detail?
so,
Tell us about the new channel.
when
I heard you were going rogue and you hate
when are you getting a new channel? What's the plan? And also, if you want to put a link to it in TeamSpeak, I'll relink it into the INN chat.
I heard my Tawny said you can't sleep on the couch anymore.
No, not at all. We just talked the other day. It's totally friendly. I just think it's a natural departure. We are moving Talking in Stations into its own space, so it'll be on Talking in Stations Twitch and Talking in Stations YouTube. So we can archive quicker. We can move content that we do live over quicker, and just try to harness the individual power of these mediums, because as a group they're kind of limited. As you know, like all of OpenCom stuff is on INN, so if you do replays it's kind of tricky. If you want to move stuff to YouTube, it takes 24-hour waiting period because INN is partnered. There's just a lot of things that kind of get in the way of a holistic approach to it. Am I being too serious?
No. The weird thing is
you're not drunk enough.
Kind
But,
of
I mean, I
don't
gotta be
drink,
honest. If you show up, I expected it to turn very serious.
Yeah, like no,
I should
it's
stop.
it's weird because this entire
Rain,
show
punch me in the
tonight.
face.
See, this sounds way too logical. We were hoping for more like,
Where's the
Tech
drama,
room
Matt?
intro.
Where's the
Yeah,
dirt?
put
Can you
some
make
fake
it
drama.
interesting, Matt? I'll just
Well,
say
okay, I'll
goes
give you some drama.
through
I'll give you some
INN.
drama.
Oh man, the good
All
stuff.
right,
Here it comes.
here's some drama, because that's only 60% of the reason. The other 40% is no matter what I do or whatever I say behind the scenes at INN, editorial has a mind of their own, and so they're publishing just stuff that their guys will publish, and a lot of times I can't agree with it or I don't like the tone of it, and so it's more like I have to be able to run Talking in Stations in a way that is more about all of Eve rather than any tribe. So, NC gets in the way of that. Imperium gets in the way of that.
Does it really? Because that's
all that stuff.
I mean, not to interrupt you,
Does
but
that mean you're quitting your in-game alliance?
Yeah, I was actually drawing down. Yeah, I was.
well,
Wow.
Black Legion's
That was a
recruiting.
joke.
Black Legion's recruiting as death throws. So
I have a
If you wanna join
one-man corp
Origin.
you can join. You want to join my corp as a
No.
RQ?
It's
As
kind of
vice
funny.
president?
I got lots of offers, which was very flattering. But I was just for the first time doing Abyssal Space last night with some of the guys that we did a Talking in Stations episode on.
Liam's. Was Liam's
Yeah.
there?
He was
Yeah!
terrific. He took me through like a level 5, and I was hanging on by the seat of my pants. I actually got destroyed, but it was really cool, and that's what I want to do is maybe explore the game a bit more in a solo capacity.
well, okay. So the other thing that so when you're saying you're limited by whether it was NC or INN and stuff, you're not talking about the obviously it's not the content, because you would the show's pretty unbiased. I would say watching it, but.
We never get away from it.
But you're
though.
talking about like just the content you get to experience. Sorry for the hiccup. The content you get to experience during the game, so you're not getting all the aspects that you're after. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's actually the image that follows you. Like if an article comes out, this happens a lot. When an article comes out on INN and it's somebody's throwing elbows at PL or NC or Horde, I get a couple guys saying like, "Dude, this is trash," and I'm like, "Well, I have nothing to do with it, anymore. I used to run it, but I don't." But that affiliation's still there. And on the other hand, if NC is acting arrogant or something like
found
that,
out you're not the editor anymore. So.
yeah. But
I was pretty sure you weren't the editor anymore, but I just wanted to confirm. Because I was like, when did you leave? That was 6 months ago or more.
Oh, it was a year ago.
Okay,
and
I did say
wrote...
6 months to a year. I get myself a wide berth of of estimation, but
yeah, that was maybe even longer than a year ago that I stopped being editor in that capacity. I'm still visible. I was still, senior person there. I still had a lot of influence. But mostly
you still know the Mittani.
I still know the Mittani. I'm still talking to the Mittani, et cetera, et cetera. He's back now and he's kind of focused on things, and is, INN is in a good place, and so it seemed like a good time to go without it becoming a problem. Like, oh, he ditched out when we were kind of low or something like that. It just seemed like it's in a good place, and so this was a natural thing, and that's what he thought too. So it's good, But
so when's the changeover happen?
It already did, January 1st. So the next show will actually be on TIS.
New year, new channel.
Who do you have this Sunday to talk about Black Legion?
Hooray! Do you have a job opening?
Is there something to talk about?
They died.
Oh, you missed it?
You obviously weren't watching the start of our show.
Oh.
No, we asked Elo to be on last episode, where we went with like 3 or 4 hefty FCs and stuff, and he was out of town. But we didn't.
He was up in the Canadian mountains, as Rain said.
Yeah, well, he was
That is exactly the opposite of what I said.
You said he was climbing the Alps.
Don't know. Well,
the Canadian
if Elo's around, we'll try to get him on. I don't know. I was actually going to ask you, Rain, if it was a serious deal or not.
Yeah, I went through it earlier of like and I guess Drayden 2's perspective, like a line member perspective. I can be on the show if you'd like, or if you can somehow get a hold of Elo. Yeah, go for it.
Rain would be better.
Rain's going to join Karma Fleet. That's the next step.
We've never had Rain on the show, have we?
No.
Yeah, make it the debut.
The Rain debut on Talking
the debit on Rogue.
What do you say, Rain? Will you take this dance?
Sure, I will, Manuel. Wait, just ping me with the time, because I may or may not be up Sunday morning.
You're gonna be hungover.
Might be a deal breaker.
You're gonna be hungover until Sunday?
No, I drink Saturday nights. Yeah.
Whoa, you're like a double dipper.
You're Mountain Time. No, you're Midwest time.
Dude, double
Central Time.
dipping, dude.
Central.
I think it's 10 a.m. I think it's 10 a.m. Central.
I can only do it once a week, with the exception of
coffee
like New Year's wrecked me. Like Tuesday morning, I was
not. Dude, I want
to
go again. If I get another party like I had on New Year's, I would. I'm
not kidding.
Again.
I woke up. I went to bed. I don't even remember going to bed Monday night, and I woke up Tuesday at 5:20 p.m. I had breakfast. I had breakfast at 6:30 p.m. Like dinner was my breakfast, and then that was the only meal I ate. I went back to bed.
In my house, New Year's was like all Spider-Man. Nick decided, my son, the mining intern, wanted to watch Spider-Man movies. So we watched like every Spider-Man movie for like 9 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I went to go see Aquaman. That was my big.
Was that good? I haven't seen it.
It was good.
Am I crazy for not having any interest to see Aquaman, but I went and saw Mortal Engines and enjoyed it?
No,
I want to see that. I think that looks pretty good.
It actually wasn't bad. Like,
I just like the Aquaman. I'm into that stuff. I guess.
I mean, like, okay, so we'll just get into TV/movie time, like, while we got a few minutes.
One of the best movies I have seen in a long time was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That shit was off the chain. It was.
That was pretty good.
It was the best animation I've ever seen. Honestly, it was better than anything Pixar's ever done.
So glad they have Spider-Gwen. I'm really glad they have.
They had everybody. They had Spider-Ham. They had it was great. It was all the cool extra spiders. It was great.
All right, so with the Mortal Engines thing,
Peter Porker.
I saw like it got like what, like a 20-something on Rotten Tomatoes. It was just like everyone's like, it looks dumb. So here's the thing. I
feel like if it's not a superhero movie right now, it's dumb.
Well, but here's the thing. It's like,
but is Bumblebee a superhero movie, or is it just
Bumblebee looked dumb? It's like Transformers is dead and gone.
I'm gonna go see that this
No, you don't make fun of Bumblebee, bro.
Well, I mean, he probably was one of the better Transformers, but I've seen enough Transformers. But the thing with Mortal Engines is, if you're going in there expecting a nice deep plot line, like rich plot, deep character development, all this stuff, you're gonna be disappointed. It doesn't have that. It's a dystopian steampunk fantasy movie with some cool like visual effects, nice action sequences, and some kind of interesting ideas. And it's like and you're just going for just general entertainment. If that's what you're expecting, you're going to be pleasantly surprised, because it has a lot of that. It's nice, it flows well. It's got I mean, if you've ever played Warhammer 40k, it's got a fucking Necron in the movie, like full on Necron warrior. But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was decent. Like because I didn't expect too much from the movie. But the funny thing is, I didn't know. I knew it was Peter Jackson directed. And I knew it had Elrond in it. I don't know the guy's actual name, but I call him Elrond. Or
I know what you mean, though. You say Elrond.
It's Elrond, Agent Smith. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
So he's the bad guy. Also, it was made by Wingnut Productions, which was the ones that did Lord of the Rings. And there's a lot of parts in it that you look and you're like, this kind of feels like if this was dystopian steampunk Lord of the Rings, this would be it. There's some parts in it that are similar, but...
So I realized this the other day. I watched a movie on Netflix, and it had the actress who plays Marjorie Tyrell. I don't know her name. I don't remember her name from the movie, but it was Marjorie, and she was playing a blind.
Yeah, Natalie.
Is it Marjorie?
Dormer.
Yeah, her.
Yeah, she's
but
great.
I have this issue where I literally don't care about like celebrities, actors, actresses, but I will remember distinct parts they play. So all of the fucking Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, I just always remember their parts. Like Harry Potter, whatever movie he's in now, he is Harry Potter. Harry Potter fights a ghost. Harry Potter fights a ghost.
Do you know that movie Harry Potter?
Harry Potter and the gay theater unicorn thing. Yeah, Harry Potter.
Oh, that's an actor's worst nightmare. They can never.
Natalie Dormer is great. I
Yeah.
remember it was weird for me seeing her on Game of Thrones because she was
agree.
like the tutor. She was like
Yeah.
that was where I was used to her
She
from. And that was
rocked
weird.
Which one is Natalie Dormer?
She was so good in the tutor.
Marjorie Tyrell.
She is.
Oh,
She married
Joffrey's
She married old
princess.
cunt.
Yeah. It took me a second. I was like, I was thinking Tyrell.
But like,
I was like,
there was like another movie I watched, and it had what's his face, Jamie. Like it was called like Mama or whatever.
Jamie Lannister?
Like the ghost
Yes,
guy.
yeah,
And Jamie
Mama
was like
was-
the stepdad, and I'm like, oh, it's Jamie Lannister and his kids with the
Was it-
ghost. And
was that Mama? That was
I
the.
think it might have been the Spanish version or something like that.
There was
No,
one that
the
Jamie Lannister was in with Cameron Diaz and like Kate Upton and somebody else. It was
Yeah,
fun.
But
yeah,
it's-
okay.
Every
So
time you guys talk about all these actors and actresses, all I can think of is like Elrond.
I remember.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, I remember seeing
Whatever his
Mama.
name is. No.
I remember seeing Mama, and like the cool thing is like that movie was directed by the same director that did Pan's Labyrinth, and it was actually
Yeah, yeah,
decent.
yeah.
It was decent. It was a decent movie. I don't remember. Was that the one that had Jamie Lannister, or are you thinking about the one that What was the one that had the girl that found the box, the Dybbuk box, and she got possessed? But maybe I'm thinking that's not the Jamie Lannister one. Like I saw
I just
that one was
Jamie
kind of crazy.
Lannister was in like a horror movie, and like all I could think of was, this is a really great horror movie. Why is Jamie Lannister?
Did it have like all the strawberry, the cherry pits, like fountain in the house, and
I don't know. I thought it was Mama.
But
okay,
a lot of
yeah,
actors,
random
a lot
recovery,
of actors
it's
actually
probably Mama.
start in horror films. Like if you watch Leprechaun, you'll see
Dude, I love
Jennifer
those
Aniston.
movies.
Leprechaun
I
had
saw
Jennifer
those as a
Aniston.
kid.
I know it had
Jennifer Aniston with black
it's got
hair.
Warwick Davis, but
Man, Sedatra was pointing out that Ian McShane was in Game of Thrones. Man, I miss Deadwood. That was such a freaking great show.
Oh, it was.
Deadwood should have been on so much longer. They should have done at least another 2 seasons. That was one of my absolute favorite shows of all time. And then he did another good show that was on NBC called Kings that only lasted for 1 season that I thought was underrated. I would like to have seen more of that. Where he plays basically King Saul from the Bible, but it's like all set in modern times and stuff. It was pretty cool. I thought that was a great show. But anything with Ian McShane in, I will watch, especially if it's a Western, because he's the man.
Wait, who is that?
He's the heavy. He's in Game of Thrones as the priest, right?
He was he was one of the priest that took the
dog or the hound
did, right.
Oh, that priest. Okay, I think you meant the old man priest, the Grand Meister Pycelle. The thing,
No.
So here's
that's
the thing.
another guy who I've seen around.
Here's the thing that I didn't realize: Grand Meister Pycelle, Empire Strikes.
Sold Lexus.
No, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
the old Star Wars movie. You know, General.
He was also the bad guy in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But what?
He was General Veers.
General Veers. Yeah, General
You don't
Veers.
notice that 'cause
So
they're wearing
General Veers, the
different shit every
guy
time.
in the big Imperial Walker, that's like, the shield will be down in moments, my lord.
You
You
make
can
a
start,
metro
you can
landing.
start your
That's
hunting,
right.
and he draws up the thing like as he's about to shoot the shield. Like that is Grand Meister Pycelle when
Yep.
he was like 30.
Right, and he was Walter Donovan in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah. It's like
he didn't follow my advice.
I realize that was the same guy. Like I was kind of mind blown when I found that out.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, they have had so many good actors and actresses on Game of Thrones.
If you want to see Liam Neeson's early movies, you can go all the way back to Krull.
The Taken Dad.
Hyper's here finally.
Sorry.
Can we do
Hyper,
shots?
yeah, I'll be a little bit
Hyper.
late.
Shots for Hyper for finally fucking showing up.
Well, we might
Here
as
at the end.
So we're pretty much right at the done. Yeah, I said that.
Right at the done.
We're right at the.
We're done.
We're at the done. But yeah, we'll just close out with later bitches shots, and then I'll take a quick bio break. Then we'll load up the after show. Hyper is here. I think Dirk is going to be cruising in for the after show as well.
One last thing. Did you guys take advantage of these injector boosters?
I sure
yes.
I sure.
Oh yes, I have.
I sure didn't.
2 more days. Well,
because I think I mentioned it on the New Year's show, but I don't like to inject because I think I'll like it too much.
And then you try to.
He's too good.
Yeah, and I think what I said was like I'll end up like in a Jita back alley with a bunch of like skill injectors hanging out of my arm, begging people to double my ISK.
Dude, I don't care what anybody says.
So I just don't want to
They
inject.
can bust my nuts as much as they want. The bottom line is this booster thing was the best present ever that they have ever done
if
in
you
the
use
history
them,
of
if you use them,
Yule
it's
gift
really
presents.
Dude.
Yeah, if you use them, it's really profitable. But I've injected once and I feel dirty for it. And I was like, I won't get hooked never again. I only injected as getting that one
year
guy's
off of my skill cube.
Yeah, what was the Concord
beautiful.
battleship they came out with?
The Marshal?
Yeah, the one guy
Monitor.
No, the Marshal.
Marshal.
Marshal. Because it's the Black Ops battleship. You have to have the Black Ops skill, and I didn't have Black Ops skill. And this guy came on. I forget his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But he had the Marshal that got the very first. It was the Marshal with the very first kill in New Eden. And he's like,
Nikolai. Was it Nikolai? From Red vs. Blue. I think he.
No. It was no, it was someone else. I think it was an Australian guy, if I can think of it. But yeah, he was like, you could sit in my Marshal, and I went to go sit, and he contracted it to me for free. I was like, damn, I got to do what Rain does. No one lets me sit in their ships. And then I went to get it, and it's like, you need Black Ops Battleship 1. I'm like, I don't have that. It's going to take an hour and a half to train it, or whatever. And I was like, I don't have the time. And so he's like, just skill inject. And I was like, oh. And I caved to peer pressure, and I did. I shot up. So I slammed them.
You
skill
use
points.
every other drug on Earth but skill injectors? Really? I mean, for fuck's sake.
I only take the blue pills when the need arises. If it's a little bit troublesome to get the combat going.
Isn't quite enough.
Yeah. Anyway,
like I said, there are skills that have been on my I have been trying to train Fleet Commander 5 for most of last year. And I just, every time I wanted to get close to it, I had something else I had to do. I finally got it trained, and I can do maximum. I've got perfect command burst skills and all kinds of stuff now for fleets. So I'm excited. This is the best. This has been the best thing ever.
How much did you inject?
Well, I have at least one character that does something. Like each race. I don't know. That's weird.
How much did you inject, Briz?
Like 20 million.
Yeah, I was saying, you said like 20 or 30 million. So.
I have alarm clocked and have done it as much as I possibly can. So I think I bought 40 injectors. I think I'm almost through them.
My character has hit 90 mil SP. Sorry.
All right.
Huh?
Well, how many Titan characters do you have?
My characters.
Titan characters.
Main character. I've got Brisk is my main. I've got my Titan alt. I've got
Titan
2 fax alts. I've got Titan characters 2. And I've got 2 Titans, one for each.
Pump those numbers up.
I know, right?
So
Those
anyway,
are rookie numbers.
We got to call it. We'll do shots for the road, and then we'll do later bitches.
All right, guys, take care. See you later.
Well, hold on.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt, before we go, real quick, just to let everyone know, all the BL stuff is a troll. We're not disbanding it all. All the troll Elo's not quitting. None of that shit. It's all troll.
Goddamn trolls. We knew it.
We got a CTA tomorrow in the morning.
I said all day today that this was all a fucking ruse cruise, and it was just a matter of time.
It's a total ruse cruise. Shots. All right.
Guys are such dicks.
All right, we're out of here. I'll link the channel in the chat if you guys want to check out the after show. But give me a few minutes. I gotta take